All right, we're gonna press play on the Scott Pilgrim vs. the World Blu-ray in 3, 2, 1, play. So this is the Prison Wallets podcast. It's a movie podcast with me and Ray. What the fuck is this? Okay, we just skipped the social blue on Blu-ray thing. Now we're at the FBI thing, in case anyone's trying to cue things up. So it's Keith and Ray, and we have our first guests of the season, Mike and Rayanne.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah. So we're gonna watch Scott Pilgrim, and let's just fucking start. So what's everyone's Scott Pilgrim memories? Let's start on the end. Rayanne, when did you hear about Scott Pilgrim?
I didn't know anything about the comics at all. It was just when the movie was coming out, it was a big deal because it was filmed here and it's like a homegrown person.
Isn't it nice to finally see a fucking movie that's in Toronto for once?
Well, I saw it in theaters with like 10 of my friends, and one of the first scenes is like somewhere in Toronto, Canada, and the whole theater erupted, and I almost cried.
Did you not know it was Toronto?
No, but it was just like, that doesn't happen.
It's like they shoot a lot of movies here, but it's always like New York or whatever.
Yeah.
There's very few. There's like a Daniel Radcliffe movie that's like deliberately actually
Yeah,
Toronto.
the F word, it's incredible.
You know what someone told me?
I don't know if I'd go that far.
I loved
Incredible's a big
it.
word.
Wow, you set your bar real fucking low.
I don't like good
I
things,
mean, I
okay?
wanted to lick his juicy penis, but that doesn't mean it was a great movie.
So juicy though.
Yeah, that was when he was at his juiciest.
Oh man, it was rock hard.
I mean, not really, but we
Talk
can't
about
talk about
necklace?
when he was at his true juiciest because
Yeah.
of the pedophilia. But yeah, no, I saw this like opening night type, midnight showing thing. And yeah, same thing. Like the crowd in Toronto, you couldn't be in a better place.
You know,
Yeah.
someone just yesterday told me that like I don't know. I didn't look this up or know if there's any truth to it, but that all of that it's never explicitly stated, but in all of Cronenberg's movies are like take place in Toronto, even though they don't say it, but in his mind they're like. Okay, just a little note out there for all the fans. Keith is closing a window. This is the window closing segment of the pod.
Classic.
Some animal interruptions too, I predict.
Stop predicting things that you don't want to happen.
But that place, the Lakeview, yeah, it's in like most of the Cronenberg movies.
I like that there's a character named Knives. That's
She's actually like a bigger
Chinese,
star
I
now.
Oh.
She's in Glow, that Netflix show. She's like one of the main characters.
It's weird. I watched that, but I didn't realize that was her. She's the Asian one.
There you go.
That's how you can find
She's
her.
got a corner.
So what about you, Mike? What was your introduction to Scott
Let me
Pilgrim?
tell you, Keith, I saw this movie with you in the theater.
Oh, you don't say?
The very first time. It was also one of the first times we hung out, I
Right.
think.
these people are both Vinyl Countdown alumni, by the way. They both.
Alumni, it's still happening. How
Yeah.
rude.
It's still going stronger than ever.
Yeah, what's great though about that podcast, it's so obscure. We were just talking the other day about how we're not even afraid that we'll ever get in trouble for anything we ever say on Vinyl Countdown because no one listens to it. but that is
the
a,
exposure, though, because now 10 more people are going to listen to them because of this.
No, they won't. And there's nobody would ever get sucked in. Do you ever listen?
I have actually.
Oh my god, it's like hot garbage.
But only because it's a big Brad fan.
Yeah, only the Brad episodes.
The best episode I heard was the one where at the end of it, someone goes in to get their girlfriend to say, grab a sliced bitch cake after she's vomiting in the toilet.
That's
God.
probably Picard, I'm
And
guessing.
Jennifer, yeah, must
One of his girlfriends, I think.
and we had a long history. So how did you feel about Scott Pilgrim? Like
Yeah.
you didn't read the comics or anything?
I didn't read the comics. I went to see it with you, I remember, and it was because I knew you from... that was one of the first times we hung out, and I knew you from Keith and the Girl, so I was like... it was like kind of... I was like, I'm going to the movies with a celebrity.
Surely this guy knows good movies.
And now you're just...
fucking $3,000
you're just a piece of shit.
This guy's unemployed and he's got a $3,000 base.
He has a gift from his dead aunt.
What about you, Ray? What was your... Because I don't think... You didn't see this in the theater, right?
I didn't see it in the theater. Actually, I bought it on Blu-ray. No, wait, sorry, I'm lying. I pirated it first.
Right.
I pirated it, and then when I started collecting Blu-ray, I saw this somewhere for like $18. I'm like, that's a great deal. I'm going to buy that.
Yeah, and that's where, like, even though we usually do, like, cult movies or whatever, I feel like Scott Pilgrim could count as a cult film
I agree.
because it made no fucking money in the movie theater. Like, it's amazing that we all saw it in the theater because, or most of us, 3 of the 4, because nobody went to see this movie. I remember...
And it's so good.
Yeah, and it was like... every nerd was excited about it. It was trending on Twitter for literally like 2 months, just somewhere on the list, and everyone was like, "Oh, Scott Pilgrim." And then the weekend it came out, it was like Eat, Pray, Love and The Expendables.
Oh, no.
And every nerd was like, "Psh, Scott Pilgrim's gonna fucking smoke those movies." And then Scott Pilgrim was like the 6th one that weekend. But I thought it was interesting that Edgar Wright mentioned, he's like, yeah, it didn't make money in the theater. It's fine now because, it came out on DVD and stuff. And he's like, it's weird that we're in this age now where anyone even knows that. Because back in the day, like, Labyrinth didn't make any money, but nobody knows that, and no one cares. No one's going to care in the future that The Expendables made more money than Scott Pilgrim. But we're just in this weird social media world now where we know and care about how good movies did in the theater. So, yeah. It was technically, though, a huge failure.
Everything I know based on this movie, as far as this goes. My kids had the comic books, or the graphic novels, but I didn't fucking read them.
Right. Well, that's something I wanted to ask is because this is like really, it's like 6 volumes of like big thick comics, because they're like Japanese comics where each one is like 200 pages. So many characters and so much shit going on. So how was it to not have read the comics for y'all? Could you follow what was going on in this fucking movie?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I could definitely feel like it had that, and maybe because I knew, but it also had that feeling of it being condensed,
Right.
like a lot of stuff condensed into a movie. But for me, I connected to it on all the video game references, and they like right here, which we can't hear. I think there's the sound effect from like Zelda or something.
Yeah, right at the start, the Toronto like starts with the Zelda music, and there's all kinds of video game shit in this movie. It's great.
Yeah.
I don't think I even knew. Like, I think that was just like what people were telling me afterwards.
Like also like Chris Evans turns into coins when he dies.
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple things.
I just felt like the story was so, like, it wasn't difficult to follow. Boy meets girl, boy likes girl, boy pursues girl, and then fights her exes.
Totally, very.
The end. It's not fucking rocket
One
science.
thing last night, I watched it last night with Julian, my boyfriend, and
Okay, we get it. Jeez, I'm not trying anything. You have a boyfriend.
yeah, please stop touching
Look at her
me.
name dropping. I've always wanted to meet Julian.
I'm just airing out my penis. I'm not trying to.
It's just where it lays.
Yeah, it's just infected.
So something happened, and it was like how they time travel or how they travel. What's it called?
Oh, where you get the extra
sub
life or
something.
whatever? Oh, subspace.
Subspace.
Yeah.
So that came up, and then nerd Julian's like, "Oh yeah, it's that thing that happens once and never again." And I was like, "Oh really?" He's like, "Because it's a big thing in the graphic novels, I guess." But it does happen again, and then he had to eat his fucking words because he's an ugly piece of shit.
Well, even in the comics,
Call
like,
your boyfriend an ugly piece of shit? That's amazing.
oh yeah, like Clash of Demon Head. That's an old Nintendo game that I used to play when I was a kid. I rented it. So yeah, like all those little references are awesome because you can tell like the dude who made it, he is also our exact age, except Rayanne, who's far too young for us. But the rest, he's our age, and you can tell like all this stuff, all the references is just shit that we already knew.
What kind of fucking creeper dates a chick who's still in school when they're an adult? Like,
He's 5 years older than her, and she's 17. Like, it's way too
Unacceptable.
much. Way too much.
Unacceptable.
It's not like a 17 and maybe even 19, which is still creepy. This is bad.
Well, that's one thing I think is interesting about Scott Pilgrim as a character is he is not like a traditional hero because he's
likable at all.
a piece of shit. Yeah, he's a
he's
real.
kind of a scumbag. He treats knives like dirt. As soon as he's done with her, he's like, fuck it, like, go away.
So that's one thing that was probably different for like us comic nerds compared to normal is like Michael Cera. I've always liked Michael Cera. Ever since Arrested Development, he's just a hilarious, awesome guy.
Never did. He can suck a dick.
Well, I was gonna say like he is. But the thing is, he's not Scott Pilgrim. He's a terrible choice for Scott Pilgrim. And ever since they announced him, every Scott Pilgrim nerd was like, that's not going to work. It's terrible.
really?
What is good casting for Scott Pilgrim?
Well, I'll tell you, because what's weird is I like his performance in this movie. He did a great job. I still love Michael Cera, but he's just a different Scott Pilgrim.
Is Scott Pilgrim the character a likable character?
No, not at all.
Okay.
But the funny thing is, Scott Pilgrim in the comics, like he's way spacier and
Honest Eds.
Honest
rest in
Eds.
peace.
Yeah, that Honest Eds is no longer there. They pulled that down to make a condo.
Mm-hmm.
And in the comics, he fights Evil X number 3, Brandon Routh, in Honest Eds. They have a fight scene in Honest Eds. So when I got to Toronto, like the first thing that kind of blew my mind was seeing Honest Eds. I'm like, that's from Scott Pilgrim. Holy shit. They didn't do that.
And I guess this must be what's that place
Sonic
called?
Boom.
Sonic Boom.
Yeah.
The record shop.
But But yeah, so Scott Pilgrim he's this even spacier guy, and no offense to Michael Cera, but handsomer. So the weird thing is,
Yeah, Michael Cera's pretty gross.
the perfect Scott Pilgrim,
Aubrey Plaza.
the perfect Scott Pilgrim is in this movie, and it's young Neil. Young Neil looks
yeah.
exactly like Scott
does,
Pilgrim
doesn't
from
he?
the comic.
I mean, I know that much,
Yeah.
but you know,
But looks, but also like, would he have the right performance?
I think he would have been better. It's just he's nobody. You know, like the only name in this movie, basically, is Michael Cera.
Cera did what he had to do, though. You know, like he played the scumbag character he had to play that wins at the end.
But he's also Canadian too, which is I think kind of nice to have, like the Canadian boy.
Fuck that patriotism shit, man. I'm telling you, fucking no.
Fuck the patriarchy. You heard it here, folks. On Prison Wallets, we support women.
think you're using that word properly.
That's a really unique opinion.
Why?
It's being sarcastic.
No, fucking, I can't stand Canadian productions, but
Well,
This is me.
but I mean, yeah, but that's because they're not good. But this one is, though.
this one is, yeah. Well, that's because Edgar Wright and, you know, all the Hollywood crap.
Yeah, this
that
is
comes
probably
along with it.
yeah more Hollywood/British than it is Canadian. But
I have another story about like my experience with this movie.
Yeah.
When it came out on DVD, I was working for a PR agency that whoever produced the movie hired to do the publicity for it. So there was a showing of it at Hot Docs, which was not Hot Docs at the time, whatever.
Bloor Cinema.
Bloor Cinema.
Yeah.
Hot Docs / Hollywood Films
Yeah.
festival.
No, just not. It was just the theater.
Right.
We rented it out, and then Brian Lee O'Malley was there, and then somebody else, and Knives Chow was there, and I was working the door, so people had to like go. They won tickets from the radio or for going to Sonic Boom, so you couldn't buy tickets. It was like win only, and I had to work the door. So people lined up all day, and they'd get there and they didn't have tickets, and I'm like, I'm sorry, and people like cried and screamed in my face, be like, I've been here all day waiting to go to this thing, and I'm like, yo, I'm just working the door. And then Chris Murphy from Sloan came in. Just like no one knew who he was except for me, and he was like, yeah, I don't know, Brian told me to just show up if I could. And people were like, yeah, okay, I don't see your name here. And I'm like standing behind them going, he's from Sloan, let him in.
Yeah, he was the like kind of music consultant guy for this
Yeah.
movie. Like he taught them how to pretend they're playing instruments so it would look like instruments.
Yeah.
I thought she was miscast, actually.
Purple hair, what's her name? Ramona?
Yeah.
Who do you think could play a Ramona?
I don't know, but I didn't like her as the character.
Kate Beckinsale.
Well, that's a super.
Is that going to be your girl answer for everything?
Yeah, well, that's a weird thing too about this. So they signed to, you know, the rights to make this movie before the comic was done. So volume 1 of the comic is exactly like the movie, like all the way up to Matthew Patel, the first Evil X is exactly like the comics. And then they start getting weirder and weirder, like more and more different, I should say. And by the 6th one, by the end, like the comics weren't even out. The comics finished after
Yeah.
the movie, so it's completely different. So the original ending of this movie was Scott getting with knives. It's a deleted scene on this fucking Blu-ray,
Yeah.
which was never the plan for the comic. But when Brian Lee O'Malley was like, yeah, that's not how the comic's going to end, they realized with the movie, like, everyone's going to be mad at us if we have a different ending. So they switched it to Ramona. So that's my long way of saying that's why Ramona's such a kind of piece of shit in this movie and kind of a really unlikable person, is they never intended for her to be the one at the end.
But so Julian told me this today, and it's a loss either way because nobody is
yeah.
rooting for Knives.
I'm glad that it's the way it is because it's better for Knives to not date Scott. It would be sad for her.
Very sad, and sad for him too. It is funny.
She's a child. He's an adult.
But like they don't make her likable. They don't make either of them likable at all. They keep Knives around for so long for seemingly no reason. So it makes sense that she would come out and like win at the end. But they keep her around and make her be an annoying piece of shit that nobody likes.
And I like, yeah, like at least the way it ends now, Knives has some dignity at the end where she's like, I'm not going to just date this fucking jerk who jerked me around. I'm just going to go do my own thing.
Well, also, and she also is like, fine, like at the you did this all for her, go get her. Like she does have like a redeeming moment where she's a little bit mature.
Right. Whereas like Scott's just going to get jerked around by Ramona again in Prague or something. Like it's never going to go anywhere. But I think that's an appropriate ending because this whole relationship was based on infatuation nonsense anyway. Scott deserves all the fucking he's going to get.
Did Brian Lee O'Malley ever revisit this universe in comics or anything after this?
No, he only did a couple things since then. He hasn't done much since Scott Pilgrim, but no, it kind of ended there. But yeah, man, so my Scott Pilgrim experience is ridiculous. So super nerdy. So our friend Brad, that we all know, he was big into this thing. It's called impro manga back in the day, where it was just like fan comics people drew, but every chapter was by a different person. And one of the people was Brian Lee O'Malley, who just did a chapter of this one comic. And Brad was like, oh, you should check out this guy, Brian Lee O'Malley, because he's like this dude, Paul Pope, that's another comic guy we like. So that's how I first knew about Brian Lee O'Malley. And then he drew this comic called Hopeless Savages that I liked. And then he did this thing called Lost at Sea that wasn't that great. And then he did Scott Pilgrim.
I assume this was all like a decade, 2 decades before any of this.
Yeah, it was like years, quite a few years before this movie came out, yeah. And I worked at a comic shop, I should point out. That's why I got this ridiculously in-depth comic nerdery. But when Scott Pilgrim came out, it was not popular. It didn't sell well, and no one cared about it. Even working at a comic shop, the only reason I cared about it was because Brad had already introduced me to this guy. And so it was weird that Edgar Wright somehow found this comic and bought the rights. When he bought the rights, no one cared about Scott Pilgrim. And then it got popular as it went. But and I met Brian Lee O'Malley when like the second volume of this comic came out, and I was wearing a Scott Pilgrim t-shirt when I met him in Halifax.
How'd you meet him? Like, what was that situation?
Yeah, it's because I was visiting Halifax, and the comic shop I worked at has a branch in Halifax. So my boss like owned both. And he's like, oh, and Brian Lee O'Malley lived in Nova Scotia at the time.
Was he doing like a meet and greet?
He's just living in town, but he knew, the comic shop stuff, and it's just like, oh, hey, Brian Lee O'Malley's swinging by, if you want to meet him. And I was like, all right, cool. And I had the Scott Pilgrim. It was the first Scott Pilgrim shirt they ever put out. It's the same head that they use for his extra life in this, just a green shirt. And I was wearing it till I got pepper sprayed. It was my lucky shirt until that happened.
Not so lucky then.
Yeah, and then I had to get rid of it. But yeah, so basically, yeah, man, I've just like it. I'm so glad this movie turned out so well, because that's a lot of pressure when you've been like there from day one, and you're just like, Scott Pilgrim's so awesome. And
so I asked last night what was the people who were following it like you were, what was the reception? Julian said it was mixed.
Yeah, well, I mean, nobody wanted Michael Cera to be Scott Pilgrim, not a single person, because he's just not Scott Pilgrim. But I think ultimately we all kind of were like, yeah, he did a good job.
He plays the sad nerd boy pretty well.
Yeah, and yeah, I think from the fans, it mostly did go over pretty well. Everyone was just sad that it didn't catch on in the mainstream, like that it did so bad and it lost money in theaters. Like we couldn't fucking believe it, because we've been hyping ourselves up for years for this fucking movie, like it was going to be the goddamn Godfather. And
here Anna Kendrick is working at a second cup, and it can actually be a second cup. So exciting. That's where I worked throughout university.
So many Canadian references too, like he had a CBC shirt there, and just so much stupid shit.
Phone.
Yeah.
Amazon.ca.
Well, that line was, what's the website for Amazon.ca? And then Max, is his name Max? Forget. He's
Kieran Culkin.
Yeah, who I love. Oh, the males in this movie are all exactly my gross, skinny, garbage men type.
Yeah. Well, that's the weird
like
thing.
Julian.
Yeah, not at all. Couldn't be less of that type of person.
I love the Matthew Patel fight scene in this. Like this whole movie, the thing that really stands out for me is how vibrant these things are and how well put together they are.
Yeah, man, he does such a great job of squeezing so much fucking shit into this movie. Like, because like in the comics, each one of these boss fights takes 200 pages to build up to and stuff, where they just didn't have that luxury in this movie. They're like, we just gotta go, we just gotta move quick.
And they didn't even have the luxury for a fucking sequel.
Yeah, that's what they should have done. It should have been the Scott Pilgrim cinematic universe. It should have been 6 films.
That would have been awesome.
Maybe, fucking Amazon will make a Scott Pilgrim TV show.
Kind of like my suggestion for Preacher, HBO got a hold of it and made like hour-long episodes.
Just start over. You never know. That's what's happening with Watchmen now, right? They're like, fuck it, let's just do it again. Like, there it is again. There's Honest Ed's.
Honest Ed.
So sad.
And pizza.
Man, it's so...
Pizza's still there, unfortunately.
Yeah. That's what's so weird, though. It is weird that Edgar Wright, like, I love that he did this, but because he's not Canadian, he doesn't really care about Toronto, but he really went out of his way to respect the Toronto. Like, apparently when they go to Lee's Palace in this, it's not even current day Lee's Palace.
It's a recreation.
They recreated Lee's Palace as it was when Brian Lee O'Malley's band used to play there. And, like, I have no idea.
What was his band?
They're called Kupek.
Kupek.
and they're real good. Yeah, in fact, if you search YouTube, his best album's called Tries Again, Kupek Tries Again, and it's uploaded by a certain Keith Empire, which is me. I put it on.
Wow, you didn't even give me a second to be impressed.
No, it's legit good, but he doesn't really do music anymore.
That's cool.
But yeah, it's weird that, I mean, I got to assume it's just because they were trying to have like a marketable star or whatever. It's weird that they miscast Scott so much because everyone else is fucking perfect. Like, I don't know if I can think of a more well-cast movie that I've ever seen. Like, everyone is so good in this.
A lot of these people are such big stars now. It's so funny because they were nothing.
I'd say arguably the biggest would be Captain America, Chris Evans.
Yeah.
He's definitely the biggest, but he
Brie-
was kind of big, up and coming at that time, I would say.
I mean, Brie Larson, like even Aubrey Plaza, all these people are much bigger stars now. Like they were Anna Kendrick.
Anna Kendrick,
huge.
yeah.
Alison Pill even? So she's
Alison
not huge,
Pill.
but bigger.
Which one's Alison Pill?
In the back there. What's her name? I can't remember any
Kim.
of these characters' names. Yeah, Kim Pine, right?
She was in The Newsroom.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Jason Schwartzman.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
He already like had stuff for sure. He would have already been because he had all of the what's that Wes Anderson movies a bunch already.
Oh yeah, like Pie.
Election,
Was he in Pie?
not Election. Rushmore.
I don't know. Yeah, Rushmore.
Yeah,
that's what I was
Rushmore's the one I'm
thinking
thinking
of.
of.
Well, that's too. I think is interesting about like if I ever made a movie, I would really push to not try to put stars in it. Like let's just get unknowns. Because yeah, like everybody in this is famous now except Michael Cera. This was the end of the fucking line for him.
Well, actually, the chick that plays Ramona really isn't fucking doing anything anymore.
No, I looked them all up on IMDb. Everyone's doing shit. Like no one's hurting.
have the
But-
recorder. I have the recorder.
Holy shit, it's Joel. Everyone panic. Keith's away.
But yeah, no, I think they fucking like this. Michael Cera, the bloom was off the rose. What I'm trying to say, like in the time even between hiring him and this movie came out, he was not Michael Cera anymore. Like he wasn't selling any tickets. Nobody went to see this movie because of him, you know. And nowadays, no one could give a fuck. They wouldn't piss on him to put out a fire.
He definitely hasn't done anything recently,
What a
but he
punch
did
in
have
the
a bunch of
face.
things since.
He was in Twin Peaks.
Oh yeah.
Was he?
Yeah, the 25th, whatever, the recent season
Yeah,
that
yeah,
came
yeah.
out.
I don't know why. His face looks so punchable.
He looks like he's 12. You're a monster. I want to punch children.
But
I punched a famous person once.
Famous person.
Whom famous person?
David Usher.
what? I never heard that story.
Cool.
David Usher from Moist. When he was doing his
David Usher from David Usher.
Yeah.
well when he was doing his solo stuff, he did like this weird tour, and he was basically he was basically doing like university bars or whatever, and he was doing the performance or whatever, and then afterwards, you know, he was getting his free drinks and all that crap like everyone does, because he's not big enough to actually just leave. He was shilling CDs or whatever, and this girl kept on bugging him for an autograph, and he could have just fucking given her an autograph, and that would be the end of it. But push came to shove, she got a little bit irritated because she had asked like a dozen times, and she's like, fuck you or something, and he shoved her. And I was like, man, that's not cool. And I'm not even I wasn't a fan of his or anything like that. I was like, that's not cool.
It's a flex showing up to his show. Not a fan.
And he goes, well, I was there with someone.
You always got to have the angry guy in the back with his arms crossed.
And he was like, go fuck yourself. I'm like, no, you go fuck yourself, sort of thing. And he just fucking went to shove me, and I was like, ho, lights out. Wow.
Did you punch him in the face?
Oh, yeah.
Did he go down?
I drilled him. Oh, he went down like nothing you've ever seen.
I can't believe you took on the powerhouse that is David Usher.
Oh, he might have weighed 150 pounds. Like, it was pretty easy. But he didn't dare, like, you know, do anything like, you know, like this big set of black hands grabbed me by the shoulders and lifted me up and kind of politely moved me outside, because I knew.
Oh, and that was the American Usher.
I knew the. I knew the staff there, so he's like, "You gotta go." was what was the name of that bar?
Toronto or
No, New Brunswick and Fredericton University campus.
Yeah.
Anyway, the guy's like, "You gotta go." I'm like, "Okay, that's cool," but no one ever like charged me or anything like that because then it would come out that he shoved this.
Your East
girl
Coast
and
is
would look
coming
bad.
out with bar and charged. I'm the same. There's in most words it doesn't sound like it, but you get the hard A in there.
It was like, "Fuck you! I don't like you or your music." It was a lot. It was really easy to punch him for no reason.
You should hear Ray's opinions on the Tragically Hip.
Oh boy.
Yeah, probably shouldn't get into it in this Canadian-centric episode, but I got to piss. You want to hold this? Sometimes we pause when I gotta go pee, but you guys are here. You can handle it, right?
I was happy when Gord Downey died.
Oh my god. The moment Keith steps away. Jesus.
Oh, can't pee. Someone's in the bathroom.
Because
I might pee live on.
fuck the hip, like really.
I'm definitely not a fan, but like
So
I didn't wish for his death.
Ooh, look at this really natural kiss.
I know, I hate watching him kiss. Also, I think he's very cute as a person because I like that look.
I think he was
But
cuter
when
though
he-
before.
He looks like one of the
Yeah.
twins from Bob's Burgers, but grown up and real.
Yeah.
Man, that shot of her back, like it looks exactly like the comic. That's like one of those shots that's like the exact composition, the way it's like perfect. But no, I think Michael Cera was like kind of a cute kid in the Arrested Development days, but he grew a big weird gawky nose.
That's the thing. From the profile, he is like rough to look at.
Oh man, this girl's got a rock hard bod.
Yeah, she is one of those things like she was like almost, I mean, people kind of talked about her like as new generation of scream queens and stuff, but that's just a nice way of saying she's only in shitty horror movies that no one ever heard of.
What's her real name? Do we know?
Mary.
Elizabeth Winstead.
Yeah.
She was in something somewhat recently because Julian brought it up.
I don't know. I don't know what she's been in recently, but I think she was in Death Proof.
Oh yeah, she was, but I really
Did she
hated
have
Death Proof.
the sword on her foot? Knife gun? The gun on her foot?
No, that's Planet Terror.
Yeah.
That was the good one. That was the non-boring
I
one.
like Death Proof.
Death Proof is
Go
the
fuck
worst.
yourself.
It's so boring. It's just so shitty. I
Oh,
hate
she was
that
in
movie.
10 Cloverfield Lane, which was great.
yeah.
That was a good movie. That was cool.
that shit.
It was really good.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth checking out. It's like one of those sequels that's A, unrelated to almost entirely unrelated, and B, I think a lot better.
What's
than
the first
original.
one called?
Cloverfield.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I think it literally was just like.
At least it's not like 9 Cloverfield Lane.
Yeah, no, I think it is like they literally just put the Cloverfield name on it. It was never even a sequel, really.
But then
I've been meaning to see it.
they did the Cloverfield Paradox for Netflix, which I think tried to connect the two movies, which is not anything. I was perfectly happy at it being kind of a fun anthology thing, because that second one was great, and John Goodman is the best.
Yeah. So Scott there's wearing a Plum Tree shirt, which I was ashamed I never heard of that band because they did a song called Scott Pilgrim, and that's what he's named after.
1,000 years.
1,000 years.
It's
yeah.
so good.
Yeah, and I just was like, they're from Nova Scotia, and somehow I never heard of them until this movie. So I got fucking outclassed, out nerded with this movie. One thing about this movie too, one of the criticisms I heard about it that is true, I think, is everybody in it is just kind of vapid and stupid, and like none of their motivations are good. And Scott's whole romance with Ramona is totally just, I like how that girl looks, like it's
Yeah.
totally shallow.
Yeah.
But I like that about this movie. Like as long as you're down with that or you're ready for it, like it's a nice feeling in a way that none of these characters are really like good people or anything. They're not necessarily bad, but they're just kind of whatever. They're just vapid dickbags going through their lives, and I can relate to that. I don't know. I think that's kind of nice.
What's this character's name? Kieran Culkin. I feel like it's Max. Wallace, yes. He just keeps turning all of the men in his life gay. They're all like, yeah, I don't want your dick, dude. And then he just fucks them.
Yeah.
He's the best.
Oh yeah, that kid too. He was in something. Primer? No, not Primer. Continuum, I think it was called. There's some TV show.
I love the
This guy here with the sunken eyes,
Yeah.
he's a Toronto actor, and I looked him up, and he's been in everything that's ever been filmed in Toronto. He just is like picks up these bit parts.
And yeah, the soundtrack to this movie is awesome. So that's another thing I heard.
amazing.
One of the theories, because it's one of those things like if the movie was successful, it would just be like, yeah, of course, it's genius. But because it wasn't, people started writing all these articles trying to figure out why it wasn't successful. And one of the theories was, and this could be kind of true, it's so 90s feeling. Like, you can tell Brian Lee O'Malley's our age or whatever. The whole soundtrack is like Beck songs and like rock and shit, where that was seriously going out of style at this point. Like, right now, there's no famous rock bands. Guitars aren't popular, you know?
Yeah.
And this, so in a way, this was like talking to our generation, but it needed to talk to the 20-year-olds. And they didn't give a fuck about this whole scene.
That's the same bass I have.
How much is that one?
That was only about $600.
It's not like we can do the bass report.
Let me tell you, I know. So that guy, Jimmy, I know that guy.
Oh, yeah? The blonde?
The one we were just talking about? Or no, the one with the glasses who Wallace fucks later.
Yeah.
Who is he?
His name is Keratin Hewitt.
His name is Keratin?
Keratin,
Like
The
the...
lotion.
spelled Kjartan.
Oh, no.
He co-hosts a podcast on my podcast network.
Which one?
It's called Spooked.
Is he
Wow,
your
no
little,
way.
Is he your little keratin cake?
Yeah, he co-hosts it, but he almost is never there, and he almost never does it. But they keep his name on
So
it
it's the
because he was in this
Sharjah
movie.
of- yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I know that guy.
That's so cool. Ask him how he likes being a gay man.
You have to ask him now.
Can't text him.
Yeah. I'll ask him, I guess.
Yeah, thanks. I'll just find him on Twitter.
But yeah, to like my generation, this is fucking so incredible that like Beck wrote all these songs, and like that seems so awesome. Like, how did they get Beck to write all these songs? The big Ramona song at the end is a Beck song, because like,
So like this song here, Beck would have wrote.
yeah.
Wow,
because
Beck's
all the-
amazing.
All the Beck demos are on like the deluxe soundtrack or whatever, and but yeah, like. But remember when Beck won a Grammy like 2 or 3 years ago, and everyone was like, "Who the fuck is
Yeah.
Beck?" Like,
Really?
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's way too late.
generation.
Like, the new generation doesn't know or care. So yeah, like that's a good example of like.
Beck was my, like, I grew up only listening to gospel music until I got 3 bands for myself. And it was Weezer, Foo Fighters, and Beck.
Nice.
Like, I love Beck so much. He's so hot. The cover of Midnight Vultures, where he's in the, like, skin-tight pink leather pants. That is so hot.
You know, honestly, I'm a pretty big Beck fan. I don't think ever once in my life it has even crossed my mind that Beck might be hot.
Oh, I love
I'm
it.
a bigger fan of Beck's ex-wife,
Who's that?
Marissa Ribisi. She was in Dazed and Confused, the redhead.
I haven't seen that movie in ages. I saw it maybe one time. I'm, like, significantly younger than you.
Did you just fucking call me old?
Listen, I'm 34. I don't get to be young anymore.
That is one thing though I have noticed a lot with younger folk that are into cool shit. Like, just that you're into the same, like Weezer and Beck and like Foo Fighters, same bands that we're
I have
into.
an older sibling.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
you got an older brother, and I've noticed that many times throughout my life, that when I meet someone younger who's into all the same shit as me, and then I find out they have an older sibling
Well,
every time.
Katie
This is beautiful,
someone who's my
this
age
fight scene.
and has an older sibling, but he wasn't cool.
Oh, he's a fucking loser.
So Katie's into garbage.
Yeah, so this must have been a weird moment if you're just watching this movie and you don't really know the comics or anything, because it's been pretty slice of life so far.
Yeah.
You know, it's been relatively normal, down to earth, you know, boy meets girl movie, and then this shit happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, so much fun.
I think it could potentially be. I knew, because from just talking to Keith, and I kind of knew what I was getting into. But I think this could be jarring because we're half hour into the movie, and you're like, oh, I guess people can fly sometimes.
Yeah, and it's really
Yeah.
like fucking like pedal of the metal from here on in.
And
Yeah.
then they just go super Indian, and it's so cringy. Like, he starts doing like this Bollywood routine, and I'm like, oh no.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
It is, but it's a little cringy.
There are a couple of things in that, even though this movie is like, what is it, 2010? It's not that old, but there's already some stuff that does not age well. Like,
It doesn't take long.
like when Knives, I mean, Brian Lee O'Malley's like half Chinese, so you can get away with this shit, but Knives says, it's time to chow down. And I'm like, what the fuck?
But her last name is Chow.
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah, but it's terrible. I was
It's
thinking the
bad.
other day,
It's a bad pun, yeah.
I was thinking about the other day about those things, like those bad lines in movies. What a miracle Terminator 2 was.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
That Hasta La Vista Baby was cool. You know, like they pulled that off. How did they pull that off? That's like I hate those corny lines in movies. They're never good, except Terminator 2.
Wait, you still like it?
Yeah, like it's a good moment. I'm like, they earned it. They earned that terrible line.
Like, how many people said, I'll be back for, like, fucking... People still say that shit.
Yeah.
But hasta la vista, baby wasn't any phrase that was like common at the time. Like they just made it up, and then they made that kid like everything that he said. He's like, this is how everyone talks, and it's like no one says any of this shit.
It's power.
Yeah, dude, it's fucking power to the metal, Max.
Don't ever.
Fuck you.
Oh, I was gonna comment about never leaving a silence because Michael fill it with something about me being a fucking gross bitch or about
What?
his, like small dick.
What? No.
Yeah.
So this is
On the drive here, he called his dick a peanut. So
I said that I could relate to the female struggle because every 28 days I mash my penis with a hammer.
but he said peanut.
So that's one thing. Even though I think Ramona's kind of an unlikable character, and just like this weird chick that you just not want to deal with in real life, but at the same time, I kind of I feel like what's the word I'm looking for? When you identify with someone, yeah, or whatever. I got to pee so bad; it's hard for me to think right now.
Oh God.
Like I can identify a bit with her struggle or whatever because she's just a hot person, and I think that's interesting. Like it's one of those things you don't really.
Those little weird fucking demon nymphs that are floating around Matthew Patel are awesome.
They're hot too. Look how big their
I don't
tits
care
are.
about the hot. I just think they look cool.
Yeah, but I'm not gay, so I do.
Oh,
The way you talk about like Ramona being hot though is like it's just like objectively true.
Yeah, well,
it's not like for you it like liking this alternative look, but like
you think Beck has got the sweetest hog in the world? Like,
oh, I know. That is what I said.
right.
Honestly, that guy has a meat hook on him for sure.
Who, Patel?
Beck.
Oh, okay.
No,
Probably.
but I mean, as far as Mary Elizabeth Winstead goes, I think we can assume, in the case of her being the star of a major movie, that she's pretty hot. Like, I don't think that's a crazy thing to say.
I don't know. I think if you were to I think it was the look. It was like it was all hipster looking.
I moderated the forums, or some of the forums on JoBlo.com for close to a decade, and Mary Elizabeth Mary Elizabeth Winstead was talked about an awful fucking lot
Really?
for a good 5-year period.
For this specifically or other stuff?
Well, between this and like Death Proof and stuff like that, you know.
Okay. Yeah, again though, that's a clientele, you know. This is not like
I mean, I don't want to blow your mind, Rayanne, but
Fox.
they hire people for movies because they're hot.
yeah, I know.
Like, anyway, if I could continue with my point, but
oh
it
my
is.
God, why don't you just fucking piss and get it over with?
It is because there's someone in the bathroom. But I kind of like that. Like, I wonder that sometimes. Like, if you're a crazy hot person, like, it must be weird. Like I can kind of understand why she's in this situation she's in, where she's got all these exes that are all bitter, you know, and like they've all had bad relationships with her, just because. Like, it must be weird to be a hot person and everybody wants to date you.
It's
but,
not.
But they don't. but they only want to date you because you're hot. That's the only reason Scott wants to date her. That's the only reason any of these people wanted to date her. And so now she's stuck with this string of evil exes, you know, that all are bitter. Mm-hmm. And like, it's interesting. I like that sometimes to like, let's not just identify with the weird nerdy losers. Like the hot popular people, the in crowd,
They
also have their problems.
too.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. They have their own
poor
problems.
Attractive people.
Yeah.
It's really hard for us.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Just kidding. I'm not.
But I kind of like that because, like, I like when hot people in movies have hot people problems. Like, I hate when hot people in movies. My favorite example is Garden State, Natalie Portman's character,
Yeah.
who's just
Has epilepsy?
yeah, she's just the hottest person literally on the earth. But she doesn't have a boyfriend, and she's just a little paralegal, and she's just waiting for Zach Braff to come into her life. Like, she's not like that person in real life is an ugly person. That's the only way that character
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
But in
yeah, because the
movies,
character
everyone's
was weird as fuck. Like
She was strange. Yeah.
She had like hundreds of hamsters.
Yeah, exactly, right? She does not look like
No
Natalie
hot
Portman.
person has hundreds of hamsters.
I think the best example of that for me was like there was a show called Ugly Betty.
Yeah,
yeah.
And a
America
girl was
Ferrera.
named Ugly Betty, and she was a beautiful Hollywood TV star. And they put glasses on her, and they were like, "See, she's fucking disgusting."
Yeah.
Let's name the show Ugly Betty.
Just so, yeah, well, then it sets the stage. Everyone knows how they're
Everyone
supposed
knows
to feel.
this girl's ugly, even though you can see her, and she's classically beautiful.
And they feel so good about themselves when
Is she? I
they
never
when
saw
they
the
think
show.
she's attractive. She's like she was the fat chick, so she was maybe like a
she-
size 6. Like
she
that
was not even big at all.
No, but like for Hollywood, so that was like, and they really, that was the angle. Was
She's-
like
do you watch-
she was kind of nerdy and a little chubby.
Do you watch the show Superstore?
Yeah, she's incredible and she's beautiful.
She's
Yeah,
beautiful, and
She's
she
great in
is
that.
the lead of that show, and
Yeah.
she's great.
I don't like scrawny chicks anyway, so
she's definitely not scrawny. You'd like her.
Yeah, she's thick with 2 C's.
Yeah. But see, it's so cool now. So she's just like. I
good.
really
Is that
hate
the
when you
way?
go to the washroom. He
felt so
cannot do up his pants. You blamed it on having a button zipper.
It's like Scott with his pee bar, man. That's what I was thinking. Oh, Jesus. Whew, I needed to pee so bad. So is this Sonic Boom again? Yeah, so I'd love to, that you can literally do like the Scott Pilgrim tour of Toronto. Like you can see all this shit. You can see all
And
these
most
places.
of them are in one little
Not Honest
block.
Ed's.
I think not on Estedes anymore. Yeah, it's gone. Those stairs we missed earlier, but they'll go back to it. Casa Loma, that's right by where Jason and Madison live. Like those.
what a fucking asshole. He just asked her like, you shouldn't. Are you allowed to date outside of your race? Like, what a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah, that's another extremely weird line. That it's like if Brian Lee O'Malley wasn't half Asian, that'd be super weird.
But still, to write that line for
For-
Michael Cera to say.
Mike Sarah, which is your bud.
Old Mikey.
Yeah, me and Mike. That was just a typo.
M Dog Sarah.
M Swash.
Yeah, he's not a nice man. This Scott Pilgrim.
Like instead of just saying I don't want to date you because you're a child and I'm an adult, he was like trying to find excuses, And she's like you mentioned the age difference. Like I'm older than you. Like I'm a grown up and I've been shaving for 10 years and you're a child and still aren't out of high school.
It also doesn't make any sense why anyone is interested in him. He's not attractive and he's not interesting.
And he's not employed.
He like we missed, like, the scene has gone by now, but like when he first starts making out with Ramona, like it happens out of nowhere. There's no like sexual chemistry or anything. It's just him being a sad human wanting her, and she's like, yeah, okay. I'm like, where the fuck did that come from?
Yeah, it seems like it flows a little better in the comic, but also in the comic you definitely get more of the sense that he's the other guy. He's young Neil. He's that who if he's prettier.
I want to punch him in his face and take his bass guitar.
How much did this one cost?
That one's like $3,000.
They're, how they when they were introducing the characters, there was like young Neil, 20 years old, and then like adjective about the person. Facebook had a thing when this movie came out that you could make one for yourself, and they'd make you a comic and then give you your own.
Oh, nice.
It was stupid but cute. Yeah, I tried to find it, but I couldn't.
No.
What was yours?
I can't remember. That was 10 years ago.
That was 10 years ago.
Oh wow, that's perfect. You're adding so much.
That's how you sound.
Is it?
That's what you sound like.
That's like, cool. You fucking
cuck.
suck.
You beta cuck.
So I love too that scene that went by when they were in the bus. Like that's how much of an asshole Scott Pilgrim is he's sad about hurting Knives' feelings for literally about 20 seconds.
Because he's not sad about it. He's sad for himself. He's every guy I ever dated in my 20s. He's a piece of shit who doesn't want to feel bad.
Last year.
Yeah, I'm 34, bitch.
Yeah, like he's like thinking of Knives and he's sad, and then he just starts thinking of Ramona and he's like, oh man, I want to lick her toes and smell her feet. And then he's happy again and he's confident again.
Yeah, he doesn't feel sad for her. It's purely he doesn't want to feel like a bad guy.
Yeah, that part where Ramona just took off her boot. Oh man, you kidding? Fuck, I'd jerk off right into that boot. I'd take a shit in it too.
Do you have a thing for feet?
Not really, but I mean, I got to think for whatever. I can make it happen.
Yeah, surely.
You just got to get the motor revved up, and then whatever is happening at the time is suddenly hot.
You're like, ooh, wrist.
Yeah. So I think we can all agree Kieran Culkin is a lot better than Macaulay, right?
Yes, I love Kieran
I think
Culkin
so.
so much.
But Macaulay Culkin's done some interesting things as of late, you know?
He's cool now.
He's been kind of coming back in a way without like coming back.
He was on stage with Lizzo the other night.
Talk about a weird face though.
What the fuck is a Lizzo?
Oh my god, are you kidding me? Like
I'm 42.
Yeah, oh boy.
I don't know Lizzo either.
You don't know Lizzo? Jesus.
Mike, tell me all about Lizzo.
Well, I was
boy.
in an Uber pool because I was watching a comedy show that was across the street from the Lizzo concert. And I was in an Uber pool with people from that concert, and they were all the same thing. I was like, what's Lizzo? And it was the most shocking thing they ever heard. They were like, are you kidding me? Lizzo's the most famous person in the whole world. And that was the first time I heard that word.
Like at the moment, right now, the biggest.
Billie Eilish.
Yeah.
No, Lizzo
What the
is
fuck's Billie
definitely one of the biggest stars.
Lizzo is
of the
100% that bitch.
You nailed it. She's getting sued for that. And she like gave them money for it. She found that line from a tweet, and the person who wrote the tweet was like, I said it first.
Well, let's just ballpark this. She's a musician.
Yes.
Like, give me something here.
Sorry, yes, a musician, like a pop musician.
Yeah.
Is she like a musician or like a crappy singer who?
No, she's incredible. And she also plays the flute, and she's so good at it.
See, this is the thing, though, about getting older, especially, and I feel this is almost appropriate to Scott Pilgrim because it's about music. When you see the pattern happen enough times, it's like, okay, first it's Fiona Apple, and then it's Lorde, and then it's Billie Eilish, and then it's Lizzo. It's like, no, it's not. You're acting like they're the most famous person ever, but next year, no one's gonna care.
Oh, I know. It's that's not the point. The point is just like it is the biggest topic in pop culture right now. So it's fine. You don't pay attention to that.
Lorde, and then after Lorde, I didn't know any of the fucking names.
Yeah, so these stairs, I love these steps. Like, yeah, they're right by our friend Jason's house, which is so cool. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Up and down. It's like they're insane. They're so long.
I took an art class near there one day. Not a class, but like an art thing where we did collages.
It was one of my favorite things moving to Toronto was, but yeah, see,
I said you're cool.
It's called scrapbooking, but yeah.
No.
Don't bother me. I'm working on my collages.
No, we did it once. It was fun.
Wow, way to make me look like a bad guy.
Yeah.
if you do it twice, it's gay. But if you do it once, it's
Sure,
fun.
yeah.
That's how it works
Look
with
at my
everything.
apartment. Fuck you.
But I loved one of my favorite things about moving to Toronto because I moved here in 2010 was seeing all the Scott Pilgrim stuff. So
This girl right here. This girl right here. Do you see her?
she
Right
that
there.
bitch.
That is somebody that I lived with for 2 years.
Holy shit.
She was my best friend when I lived in Newfoundland. She's from Newfoundland.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, her name's Jessica Kennedy, and she was one of my best friends. And she got to like hand
Erica.
Chris Evans. That's so fucking cool.
Oh my God,
She's a
Captain
Toronto actress.
Mr. America?
The very one. Monsieur.
But yeah, in this place, it's Casa Loma. It's in movies quite a bit. It was in X-Men 3.
Yeah, I believe it was like Professor X's like manor or whatever, wasn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, the first time I saw those steps, like there's every little Scott Pilgrim thing that I saw kind of blew my mind. But that's an extra good one because you get that whole view down Spadina where like when they go do their skateboard battle later, you
Yeah.
can see it. And it's just like,
It is a beautiful view. It's really cool.
yeah. And it's just such a cool feeling to feel like you're in a movie. You know, it is really good. It's just like the very end of this movie, just to jump ahead a little bit, but the very last scene where Scott and Ramona go through that door, I had that as the wallpaper on my computer, so it was just there, so I just knew that view of Toronto. And then when I lived down by the St. Lawrence Market, I was just walking around, and at Front and Cherry, I turned my head, and I just froze, because I'm like, that's, holy shit, I'm there. And then I looked.
to pay attention to that.
Yeah, and I looked it up later, and yeah, Front and Cherry is where they filmed that. And it was such a weird feeling because I didn't expect it at all. And I'm just like, I'm inside a fucking movie right now. Holy shit.
So you were living in Toronto when this movie came out.
Yeah, I moved here just before this movie came out.
Okay, so the movie came out, and then you were living here, and you were like, "Oh, I better go on this tour."
Well, I already read the comics and shit, so I was
okay,
already
'cause-
starting, like, the Honest Eds and stuff. I knew.
it.
The guy kind of looks a little bit like Jason Newsted.
So this is, I think, like the first major change from the comics. Like, as it goes, it gets less and less like the comics. So this didn't happen in the comics, but this is genius. I think this is, like, better. The stuntmen fight, what a good idea. Just so
Yeah.
cool. And then it just starts getting weirder and weirder. Like the twins, they had a whole thing where they make robots, and Scott has to fight the robots. And in this movie, they're like, we don't have time for that. Just have a battle of the bands. And it's like,
Oh yeah.
So yeah, this is one of these little things you'd never notice, but it's IMDb trivia or whatever. So this backdrop of New York is like supposed to be a joke about how every movie filmed in Toronto just pretends it's New York.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and you'll notice when he gets thrown through the poster, you can see the CN Tower.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so which is appropriate to where they are, like you really would, and it's like a reference. Because yeah, like I noticed that all the time after I moved to Toronto, like fucking. I don't know, the Hulk with Ed Furlong and Kick-Ass and...
Suicide Squad?
Yeah, all kinds of things. And once you know Toronto, you start seeing it everywhere.
Well, they'll, like, use Yonge Street a lot because it's very New York looking. But, like, with the Hulk, even on the preview or the trailer, it was Zanzibar. Like, just brilliant.
Yeah, they didn't make any effort to hide that. Like, the most famous strip club in
And, like, no one
Toronto.
outside of Toronto gives a shit, but we could all.
Even in Toronto, you go up the street to the fucking brass rail. You don't go to fucking Zanzibar.
Yeah, that's fair.
Man, Chris Evans is fucking awesome.
He is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
He's good.
He's killing it. Remember when he had, on his nipples, he had all that cream?
What? Oh, right. Yeah.
You remember that?
Is this a Captain America thing?
No.
What
No,
is
it's
this?
like not another teen movie or something.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot.
Well, he really glowed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he had like whipped cream on his nipples with like little cherries.
That was making fun of Varsity Blues.
Yeah, because where does this fall? Like, this was before Captain America, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
A lot.
So it's interesting that they got a superhero guy, but just before... Oh, he was in Fantastic Four, I think, at this
He
point.
was,
Yeah.
yeah.
He was... Because with Brandon Routh and stuff, like, they were trying to get superhero-y people.
Fantastic Four was a few years before this.
Yeah, he was the Human Torch.
And, like, yeah, at this point, even if you're a little, like, I'm not sure about this movie... How can you not love this? Like this, like, I heard you're okay at skating. He's like, whatever, I'm not going to skateboard you. Oh, there's girls watching.
Yeah.
And he just does it. Like, how do you not love this?
Actually, you know what? Captain America is 2011. This was 2010.
Yeah.
So he was on an upward
way.
trend to stardom.
That's cool.
I mean, he's basically a superhero in this movie.
Yeah, so I was never totally... They really don't talk about it much, but, like, so the people turning into money specifically is based on River City Ransom, which is also awesome because when I was a kid, my good friend Brad, our friend Brad, who introduced me to Brian Lee O'Malley, his dad ran a convenience store where they rented Nintendo games, and he brought over River City Ransom, and we played it together as little kids. So then to see this movie where they reference it, it's like, again, just crazy.
Like, that's what happens when you beat somebody.
Yeah.
They turn to coins.
But that's a lot of games. Like,
Yeah,
people turn into
coin-
money when they die. But I guess specifically it's based on the game.
Yeah, the coins and stuff. It's definitely...
I have a
especially
bone
reading
to pick.
comics, it's-
So the first person that he kills, he gets 1,000 points and a few coins, like 6 coins, and he goes, "Oh, cool coins." And then the last person he kills, he's only up to like 4,000 or 5,000 points, and there's so many more coins.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
The points are just per each boss. The 6 boss is 6,000.
That's exactly what Julian said. You fucks. It's not logical.
Well, yeah, I don't know about the money thing, but what I was going to say is they never really bring up what happens to these people. Like, are they dead? No one's acting like they're dead. So...
Maybe Gord Downey should have been a fucking villain.
But I kind of... The feeling I get is, like, it's probably just some, like, weird video game logic of, like, they re-fucking spawned somewhere else, you know? Like, they're not dead, but they just kind of... Once you kill somebody, they just kind of can't mess with you anymore. Like, I feel like there's just some unspoken rule that, like all these evil X's are still alive somewhere.
Double jeopardy.
But they can no longer, come interfere with Ramona and Scott anymore once they've been beaten. Man, Kieran Culkin really cuts his nails short.
Yeah, I noticed that too. And it is really
probably bites
gross.
them.
Yeah. And I wondered if that was a choice or if that just what his hand looks like. Because it's a bad zoom in.
Well, maybe his nails are kept short because he's playing a gay character, and
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
I
that
know.
could honestly be a thing. I'm just like that. There was this porn movie. Can you believe it took this long for this to come up?
Wow, we always talk about porn too.
It was called like the Indy 500, and it was like this porn chick who banged 500 guys.
Oh yeah.
And they weren't supposed to finger her; they were just supposed to fuck her. But some guy did, and he had like a jagged nail, and he like cut her inside a little. So she was saying in an interview after, she's like, "Yeah, that happened pretty early on." and then it just hurt the whole rest of the day because this guy like scraped the inside of my vagina.
Sucks.
Yeah, and it's like, now it's not even fun to watch the 500-man gangbang. Now that I know that, I thought it was just fun.
Was it just like a lineup of guys?
Yeah. And like, I can easily see another path in the woods
The
where
Houston 500 is
Houston, that's the one. Yeah, totally.
How the fuck did I know that?
Yeah, because I was thinking,
didn't see it.
in the back of my mind, I was like, I don't think indie was
I
really
have
right.
80s porn on Blu-ray.
I'm not interested. If I'm gonna watch porn, it's getting to the point.
And I could absolutely see another like version of my life where I'm a porn guy, but I would be like, I'd be
You're
making the
not
porn.
a porn guy?
I mean, in it, like I'd be
Okay.
like making porn and in it, but I can't imagine being one of the 500 guys in a 500-man gangbang.
You
like,
want to be the star.
yeah, I'd be like, I would direct that shit. I would be the
okay.
auteur. Like, it's just so sad to be guy
directed
number
and starred in it?
496. Oh yeah, sure, why not?
Cool.
Yeah.
Just checking.
So, where are we at in this movie? so two evil exes have been defeated. Knives is still getting... Oh, let me ask you guys this, because I hear this term all the time, and I don't quite know what it means. What does gaslighting mean? Is that what's happening?
It's like when you like
With
you like
knives?
make someone think they're crazy.
So that's kind of what Scott's doing
So
to
you're
Knives,
being an
right?
asshole
Yeah.
to someone, but you're making them feel like they are actually the problem when
like a
really
form of
you're the fucking
manipulation.
problem.
Yeah.
But it's pretty brutal. It's like the most vile kind because not only are you trying to be manipulative, but you're also making them feel like they're the crazy person.
So Scott's not necessarily a deliberate gaslighter. He's just such a little wiener that it's happening. He's like fucking around with people because he won't face up to things.
Oh shit, that's Anne Veal.
Yeah, so she was one of the
What?
two Ann Veals
Who's Anne Veal?
in Arrested Development that
okay.
was Michael Cera's girlfriend in the show. So yeah, they're reunited.
She also was one of the stars of Parenthood.
I believe she was also the designated ugly fat friend.
Yeah, the Duff.
She's the Duff. I love Mae Whitman. Which is so fucked too. She's the Duff?
I know.
That's so fucked up.
Oh, she's so cute and not ugly and not fat.
None of those things.
and
Oh, it's
not
so
anyone's
upsetting.
friend.
Especially
Designated
not that one.
designated true though. I'll give them that.
That one, yeah, she is designated.
I love Anna Kendrick too.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just don't.
Yeah. Well, that's how I feel I feel like her and Anne Hathaway are similar. They
Yeah,
get that
I
weird
agree.
sort of neurotic thing. But I do like Anna Kendrick, but Anne Hathaway just rubs me the wrong way. So I know what you mean. Like, I've got
Yeah.
that about someone else. Like, there's no reason why I don't like them. I just don't like them.
Yeah, same.
Aubrey Plaza, she's funny.
She's awesome. I love
Yeah, I
her.
agree.
She plays the mom in the new Chucky movie, and I just recently watched that. Yeah, and I'm like, I don't see her as a mom at all. You know,
that's
like
The thing is, she has never not played the same character in anything.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, then I was listening to there's a lot of commentary tracks on this Blu-ray DVD thing, and one of them is the cast, and she just is like that. Like, I can't
yeah.
imagine her not being like that person.
Yeah, she's very saucy.
One thing they do too a lot in the comic that I thought was cool is Scott just the rules of this world are so weird. Like, is it a weird video game world? Is it the normal world? Is Scott just crazy? He doesn't understand that every second cup is a different place. He thinks if you go in the door, you just always go to the same second cup.
Really? Is that happening?
but and I mean, like, maybe like they really don't. Like, it's one of those things too that it just in the comics it
But it
seems.
must be because Aubrey's working at all of them.
Yeah, so maybe it is that way in
the
this.
same one. Of course it is.
is that fucking Captain Marvel?
It sure
Yeah.
is, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Captain America and Captain Marvel.
I guess that's the downside to hiring people before they're famous, though. Is like, yeah, this movie, everyone in it's famous now, but it did them no good back then.
Yeah. But they could. Why don't they just re-release it? Now's the time.
Yeah.
They're not gonna fucking do that.
Well, it'll be
No,
10
of
years
course not.
next
No
year.
one does that.
What they're doing lately, though, I find a big trend is that now they'll add a few minutes to a movie and put it back in theaters. Like they did that with Avengers Endgame. They're gonna do it with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and there's one other one recently they did it for.
More minutes.
Such a good movie.
I
I would
loved
have.
it, but yeah, it was long. It was a long movie.
I would have loved. I don't like in general 3D movies, but I would love to see this movie in 3D. Like if they were going to re-release it, that'd be a
Yeah.
reason. 3D version.
I guess I hate 3D movies,
Yeah.
but this could be cool. Is there like a website that says all of the filming spots that you looked at?
I mean, I don't remember anymore, but yeah, there is.
Because even like when they're in certain parks, I'm like wondering which park is this?
Yeah, you can find all that shit of like where.
And like I want to walk by that house like that he walks into.
Like Scott's apartment.
Yeah,
it's weird because that was based on just a weird little door that Brian Lee O'Malley just was in his neighborhood, and he's like just imagining the guy who might live in that little door, you know. So then when they're filming, they found the real place, but if you open that door, it's nothing. It's like a little wood closet. Like, like there's no.
How do you know that?
Because I read it somewhere. I don't know. Just so like.
Did you like bust it?
Oh, dude, that is a Toronto laugh. The fucking SARS shirt.
Yeah.
I don't think any other city would even get that joke. But like, so back in the day, there was this big worry about fucking avian flu in Toronto, and it was
H1N1.
It was called SARS. Yeah, and then it was a huge news story, and it was fine.
And then there was SARS Fest, a huge music festival.
A huge festival that was like $10 tickets, but had like huge
the Rolling Stones played.
Yeah, like huge star like
so
bands.
Funny.
Just a
SARS
desperate
stock,
attempt
that's
for Toronto to like be like, it's safe to be here. It's okay. You can all come back now.
Was it in Barrie or was it? Because a lot
was
of
in Toronto.
A lot of the festivals happen at like near Barrie. Like Warped Tour always
Like
happened
Molson
up
Park.
there.
I like the Astro Boy shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, Astro Boy.
This movie's got style, man.
Yeah, it really does. I like it. It's quirky. It's vibrant.
Well, I like too that it's got all the crazy special effects and stuff, but at the same time, it also feels like a '90s indie rom-com. Like a lot of the shots of just their house and stuff just looks plain and normal, and I like that too. It's like both sides.
I always wondered what the Edgar Wright version of Ant-Man would have been like.
Yeah,
it's a shame.
Yeah, so let's talk about Edgar Wright for a second. To me, this is by a lot his best movie, and I like his movies. I'm a fan, but man, this movie's good.
I'd say it's a coin flip for me.
What's the other?
Baby Driver.
I love Baby Driver. I'm so glad that's your answer. It's so fucking good. Julian's favorite movie of all time is fucking what's
the Houston 500.
No, what? What's
You keep bringing up this Julian guy. Why don't you just fucking date him or something?
Yeah, why don't you fuck this guy?
Why don't you put his butt
it's
on
so
your butt?
funny because I'm
Touch your
so
butts together.
mean to him. Like this is the nicest I've ever been, and he's nowhere near. What is another Edgar Wright? Not the zombie one, but Hot Fuzz. Hot Fuzz is his favorite movie of all time, and I'm like,
Of all time?
Of all time, it's his
like
number
it's good,
one.
but that's a
He
extreme
loves it,
thing.
but Baby Driver is so good.
So here's another just cool like T-shirt thing. I like. There's so many dumb little details in this. Oh, Brian Lee O'Malley and his then wife just passed. They were in the foreground there. They're divorced now though, so don't worry about it.
Okay.
So I love that. Early on in the movie, he's wearing a Smashing Pumpkins shirt because SP for Scott Pilgrim. But now he's also wearing the Smashing Pumpkins 0 shirt because if there's the 7 evil X's, he's number 0. He's less of a man than the other 7.
Something you're inferring?
No, I mean, they did it all on purpose. I mean, it's an Edgar Wright movie. It's all on purpose, you know? It's like fucking... He's insane. That's the greatest thing about Edgar Wright. Is
Edgar Wright tweeted at me once.
Oh, yeah?
Well, it was for a company I worked for, but we held a Halloween. It was like a crowdfunding company, and we did a campaign where people could buy tickets to go to TIFF, the box theater, and we did what's the zombie one?
Shaun
of the Dead. And he like
Untitled Edgar Wright zombie film.
and he retweeted it and was like, "Hey Toronto, you should go to this thing." And I was like, "Oh my god, I'm famous."
Little known Edgar Wright movie.
So yeah,
I don't know movies very well. I was a bad choice.
This is cool too. That me and Mike were talking about how we saw Metric together and stuff, and like I'm a pretty big Metric fan. I like Metric, but
One of my favorite scenes.
But I like her version of this song way better than the Metric version. It's just weird. Like she's just an awesome singer. She just kills.
So this is actually her.
Yeah, because there is also a Metric version of this song on the soundtrack.
Yeah, I know that, but I didn't know if this was actually Bree singing or just.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's good.
Brandon Routh looks good as this character. Like normally he looks fucking. I find him really odd looking, but this look suits him.
And he's literally just like if Scott wasn't a little piece of shit, you know? He's dressed the same, he looks the same, except he's awesome. You know, like he's like, I mean, it's not a subtle metaphor or anything, but it's like, fuck, my ex-girlfriend has a new boyfriend and he's just me, but better in every fucking way. Better bass player too, when they have the bass battle.
Yeah, the whole do.
Brian was friends with Emily Haynes.
No, yeah.
and that when he was writing this character, he was thinking of her. I don't know if that's true, but that's
Could
what I
be.
heard.
You know that Sloan song, The Other Man?
Yeah.
That's about her.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I've never been so jealous.
She's the other man.
Yep. All right, I gotta pee again.
I got you, homeboy.
Yeah, I hear Joel Part 2. He's got us.
Do you need help holding your wiener?
Yes, please.
Caleb?
Yes, I need help holding my penis.
So we seem to get along. That's nice.
I like it.
What a casual thing to say.
I find it positive.
That's so funny. Yeah, Keith told me, well, because a lot of people call me Ray. Mm-hmm. So when he talks about you, and he's just like, or on one of his podcasts, which I listen to because I'm a fucking chump, he'll always be like, my friend Ray, and I'm so excited to listen to what it is, and then it'll be about you.
I can honestly say I've never heard anyone call you Ray.
No, this group doesn't call me Ray. But, like, every place I've ever worked, some of my friends from back home, like in Napanee, my friends there call me Ray.
I call you Ray.
Yeah, come on.
Rabies. That's what I call you because you're fucking disease.
You're afraid to be too mean to me now.
Look at that. Fucking Brandon Routh just fucking smokes knives.
Oh,
like,
man, my...
whammo.
So this is where things are getting way different from the comics because, like I was saying before, they have like a huge fight inside Honest Ed's in the comic, which would have been awesome if they had time to do that shit, but they didn't bother. But I like this too. They just have a more direct fight, base battle thing. But my favorite shot of the movie is coming up soon when fucking Todd gets pissed and he starts doing his like psychic vegan powers, and it's like this side view shot where he's just lifting Scott up into the air. And it's like
He called him a cocky cock.
That's a Mike.
Here it is. This
insult.
is my favorite shot. I wish I could get a poster of this. It's just beautiful. Look at this shit. Fuck you, Scott, you little fucking... Like, there's no reason why Scott should be able to beat that guy. He's amazing. I'd suck his dick right now. Through the screen.
I'm imagining that just below frame right now is Keith sucking his dick.
Will you
off.
accept a stand-in? Like, I mean...
Yeah, I guess as long as I stare at the screen.
Oh, perfect.
Now, this is also very subtle. I'm sure none of you picked up on this, but he has a number 3 on his shirt because he's the third Evil X. No need to thank me.
What, are we fucking retarded?
It's not easy being the only non-retarded person on this podcast, but I do my best. I wonder too, like, it's just like amazing how fast things change. Of even just that in 2010 or whenever this comic came out, 2007 or whatever, it was like, haha, he's a vegan. Let's make fun of vegans. Where I don't even think they would anymore. Now it's very serious business.
Well, I was. This is another of the things that didn't age. Like watching this now, it's a little bit like people would be kind of mad about this, I think.
Yeah. Don't make fun of me.
It's like being vegan just means you're better than other people.
I think vegans are fucking retarded.
Boy.
Very bold statement.
Speaking of retards, look out for the Prison Wallets upcoming film Retard Stab Camp.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, these are cool too. These little like flashbacks of the comic. Just a nice little fucking. What a talented prick, man! Like his band was cool. He can draw. He's fucking. I mean, Brian Lee O'Malley. Yeah. Still though, this must be like crazy, right? That you're just some little Canadian wiener and you do a little comic that's like a little successful, but if we're being honest, only people like me and Brad ever read it, and it turns into this. Like, talk about winning the lottery.
Yeah, like, what happened? Did Edgar Wright just somehow see it and be like, I want to do this?
Yeah, somehow the comic just came across him in his lap or whatever, and he's like, yes, please, I'll make this film. Yeah, because that too. Not only did it get made into a movie, but not a shitty movie, an Edgar Wright movie. Inarguably Edgar Wright's best movie. Yeah, because there's so few directors that are at that like Edgar Wright level, you know. Like to me, he's like up there. He's like a Tarantino type guy of like these people that they will just kill themselves to make the movie they want to make, So yeah, this guy made the movie of your comic. Like it's like a dream that came true. It's nuts.
Yeah, this definitely was huge. I think there was a lot more people than you think that were reading those comics. Like, every time he put out a new one, there was, like, a huge lineup around the block at, what was the comic book shop?
The Beguiling?
Yeah.
Yeah, he used to work there, too.
Yeah, I mean, he had a cult following for sure.
Yeah, me and Brad were at the Volume 6, like the final release party, and it was nuts. They had Plum Tree reformed and were playing, and one of the other bands from this was playing, and, like, the whole street...
Is that the last one? 6?
Yeah, and it was nuts. It was a big thing. But when it started, like, he did that Lost at Sea comic before Scott Pilgrim, and it sold, like, I don't know, 3,000 copies. And then Scott Pilgrim Volume 1 sold less than that. Like, literally no one was reading this comic at the start. But
Yeah.
you know, they were like, well, let's just keep going.
And when this
Like,
movie came out, people were, like,
Yeah.
all over it.
Yeah.
Wanted to be, like, cool comic book nerds.
Yeah, and I mean, the reason I got that job at the comic shop was because I was the hipster who didn't know about superheroes. But even like Scott Pilgrim, like, was so under the radar. Like, nobody knew what it was.
Yeah, for sure.
Back
Maybe
when
in
it started.
Toronto a few kids did, but
Yeah.
not out.
Because I just heard like an
Right
interview
person.
with him where he was saying how depressed he was because he's like, well, that Lost at Sea comic was a failure, but now let's do Scott Pilgrim. And then when it sold less copies, he's like, what am I doing with my life? Like, how come no one cares about me? You know?
My arms hurt so much, like I've been swimming. Like, I don't know what is going on. What was I flapping my arms around doing yesterday?
Oh, I thought it was because you're holding that super heavy dog.
Yeah, it's very hard.
That's a cool shot too.
Well, we went swimming yesterday.
Oh my god,
Was
wow.
that it?
Was I...
Shouldn't be drinking more caffeine. I'm just gonna have to pee again, but fuck it.
Well, you're in a house, so...
Oh, speaking of, yeah, coffee. So, I can't remember if anything like this happens. He definitely gets caught by the vegan police, but I don't think Scott even tricks him. He just
With
literally
this?
is just, yeah, he's just
In the comics?
in the comics,
Why
yeah.
would you take either of them? Like, that's stupid.
And also, half and half has quite a different look than soy milk in coffee. That wouldn't be able to trick him.
And when the vegan police show up, they're one of them is Thomas Jane, the Punisher. So that's another superhero reference. And I can't remember who the other one
Fucking
is.
love Thomas Jane.
Thomas
Oh.
Jane is like...
The other one's Tax Chicks from the Stone Age.
Is that his real name?
Well, no, but I don't remember his real name.
Okay.
Fucking love the Stone Age.
Yeah.
But Thomas Jane is like a big name. Like, he's in such a small part in this movie.
Yeah. He's probably just free that day, I guess. I don't know.
He was the star of Hung, HBO's Hung, about the guy with the big dick.
What is this? I want to watch this. Is it like a mini series?
It's a series that went for a few seasons, and I think that it's like Breaking Bad, but instead he's a family man who's a male prostitute.
It's kind of like a poor man's Californication.
It's not a documentary.
No.
Oh.
Why would he be in a documentary? He's an actor.
I don't know. Sometimes actors have interesting things.
Okay, well, I'm sorry that I broke your heart by saying it's an HBO series and you assumed it was a documentary
I did.
for no good reason. Fuck you.
Oh,
Ew.
yeah, that is way more coins.
It does, yeah, it escalates so much.
The first one, he clearly said it was $2.40. That's like $400.
And it's only 1,000 to 3,000 points. Like, it is not...
Woo!
It does not scale.
You're really worked up about these
I
points.
really am. It bothers me.
Man,
You
yeah.
shouldn't headbutt someone if you don't know how to fucking headbutt. Dumbass.
Tell him.
What a piece of jerk.
Well, that's a weird thing too. Is like, yeah, is Scott, is he a good fighter or not? I mean, he kind of is, I guess.
I mean, he
beaten all these
dies. He
people.
straight up dies. Of course he's not a good fighter.
But he's been beating people.
Yeah, well, he doesn't beat everyone.
No. But,
And also, he beat that guy by giving him half and half.
yeah, but then he headbutted him real good and hurt his brain with it.
They should re-release this in theaters, and after each boss battle, he 69s with Ramona.
Fuck.
But you wouldn't go see that?
I would. Hell yeah.
But yeah, so many, oh yeah, so that is the classic. Man, I love that shot of, I used to love being in that Pizza when Honest Ed's was still there.
Yeah.
Because it's just at Bloor and Bathurst, and yeah, you couldn't be more in this movie than that. But now it's just a shitty condo there. It really does too. Like, because Honest Ed's was so insane. Just this big department store with this huge Texas belt buckle light lit up insane sign. Like that whole neighborhood feels really boring now that it's just a condo.
Have you? I assume everyone here has been inside of Honest Ed's.
Oh, by the way, EXPLODE. That's the name of the novel I'm working on, and that's why, because of that Akira reference. But
The one with the rhinoceros girl?
sure is. Sorry, what was that you were saying?
Have you guys been in? Had you ever gone inside of Honest Ed's?
Yeah, I went in.
Times, yeah.
I went in just
It
because of
was
this.
such a junky fucking place.
It's garbage.
It was trash.
I worked for a PR company and I was the intern, and they would just throw events where they're like, we worked for Trojan, the condom company, and they're like, we need to get bras that fit these mannequins, because they did a relay race where part of it was undoing bras. And I had to go find cheap bras somewhere. So I just went to Honest Ed's and I brought them back to the office, and everyone was so mad because they were so gross and so ugly. And this was a media event. Like, where'd you go? I'm like, I don't know, Honest Ed's. I don't know. I just moved here. It seemed cheap.
Did it have like a hand painted sign too for how much it cost?
10 bras, 65 cents.
Yeah, it is a miracle that Honest Ed survived
As
this
long as it did,
It was
yeah.
basically like a flea market.
And it was dirty.
And it was like the whole block. It was so
Yeah.
It was like 2 blocks. Like it crosses over with that bridge or
over
whatever.
an alley. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, this place too, where they filmed this, it's like it's some kind of like opera type place, but it's also down by Front and near St. Lawrence Market. I walked by this place all the time too.
Are they inside a building right now?
Yeah, like it's some kind of like where you go to see fancy shit. Like it'd be easy to find on Google Maps, but I don't remember what it's called. It's just
that's cool.
if
The
you want.
fancy Porium place?
Yeah, it's like how the Opera House doesn't really have opera. This place really does, but I can't remember what it's called.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, and I'm gonna look up all these places. I want to go.
Lesbian subplot.
Oh yeah, Mae Whitman right now is in Good Girls. Anyone seen that? That's a good show.
Oh, I want to see it.
It's good. I really like
They
it.
do heists, right?
Yeah, just like housewives who got into the drug game.
So I can't really remember what goes down in the comics with this, but I remember there was also in this volume, Knives' dad was in it, and he also had to fight Knives' dad. But I like how they handled this. That's a good shot too, of the verses. But I like how they handled this too. That Scott doesn't want to hit a girl, so it's just
Touches the back of her knee.
well
That's good.
but that what's her name
Ramona
is
does it.
Ramona. Yeah, uses Scott like a proxy, like a doll. Like
Yeah.
uses him to fight.
Except that earlier in the movie, a guy straight up kicks a girl's ass. It was like, what? I'm not afraid to punch a girl. I think it was Chris Evans.
No, it was Brandon Routh.
Oh, okay.
Another superhero guy. He was Superman.
Just the worst Superman movie ever. So boring. But even there, that shot where the mirror ball just broke, and then in the shards, like you could see the two combatants. Like you just know that that's like fucking Edgar Wright went to bed every night dreaming about what the scenes were going to look like in this movie. Like he's just one of those guys.
Fanboys on that shot where she did the flip. Pause this fucking movie to try and look up the skirt.
Yet another thing that they could fix up.
you.
No, not me. That would fucking suck.
I just like that exact move with the leg straight up in the air and coming down. Both of them did this. It's like, yeah, this is the chick move. They're soft. I don't know if we missed my favorite line from the whole movie when he's eating the garlic bread.
Oh yeah,
And
Yeah.
bread makes you fat?
that is good. This always happens too at approximately this deep into the movie, where we just have to take a little breather. We're like, let's just let the movie wash over us.
I also found, I watched this last night, and it was about the beginning of Gideon where I stopped paying attention.
Yeah.
Because it really is a bit repetitive.
It's tough too, like with any movie, to really keep. It's like in wrestling, where you can't have hot match after hot match. You got to have a slower match to cool the crowd down.
Yeah, it's just like a battle after a battle after a battle. Couldn't do it.
Yeah, you're right. You were talking before about like, oh, maybe Amazon would do this as a show. I think as a show, it's very clearly defined into like 7 unique,
Yeah,
chapters.
so much weird slice of life shit they didn't have a chance to do too. Like they go to the beaches and they just hang out there and do stuff.
Yeah, I just want to watch him live his life.
Yeah, the comic is nice that way, where it is really a lot of just Toronto bullshit.
I like how he like touched an erogenous zone and she came and that's how she died.
Yeah,
Le Petit Mort. It's French for jizzing.
What does it really stand for?
The little death or whatever, right?
I guess that is jizzing.
man, I love so much. It's such a stupid little thing, but this little running gag about how Scott doesn't drink, but he's always drinking, and like that dude. I can't remember his name, but the guy who knows everybody. He's just like, I specifically remember you getting drunk on a couple G&Ts. I don't know, I just always remembered that. I don't know why. I don't remember that guy's name. But that's the thing where there's just so many characters in this movie. Like the guy who's just at the parties, who just knows everybody. He didn't need to be in this movie. Like they really could have streamlined this. There's like 20 characters in this movie.
I can't even remember who that is.
But I think that when you're trying to encompass multiple graphic novels into one movie and you're doing it under 2 hours, like... if they have a little bit of extra stuff, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So sweet.
Yeah,
They're just doing their best.
And everyone.
Yeah, like I really feel like I would have, like even like Aubrey Plaza's character or whatever, like she doesn't need to be in this. Like there's a lot of stuff I would personally have streamlined, but I think it's kind of cool that they didn't.
Well, maybe you should make a movie then, like Retard Stab Camp.
Yeah.
They would have been
can't
pissed.
use that word anymore.
I know, it is Ray's favorite word, I've already noticed.
We're writing a movie.
But I mean, we haven't had the retard stab camp discussion yet, but I just don't see how that could be a movie. That's one of the trailers from
Grindhouse.
From Grindhouse. It's a hilarious trailer. It's not a movie. It's called Retard Stab Camp.
Great, we could come up with some more offensive shit too.
Yeah. But yeah, as a trailer, I'd be all over it. That'd be the funniest trailer of all time.
You are like what I picture the epitome of Gen X.
I don't understand.
You just seem like a Gen Xer.
Wow. I feel insulted, but I'm okay with it at the same time.
Man, so yeah, this I think was super cool. So again, like, you know, it took a whole 200 pages for them to just fuck around and finally fight these twins. But in the movie, they're like, we just don't have time. Let's get straight to this. And I really love this scene. Like, I really think they did such a good job here. Because now at this point, it's nothing like the comics. It's just fully its own thing. And this fucking battle is wicked. Like, it doesn't make any sense. There's no reason why the music makes giant monsters happen and fight. They've never established that this happens in this world. But it's like, fuck it. Why not? Let's do it.
That's so nice. I just picture people who were so into the comics would just be like, what is this? This isn't even anything close to what we talked about.
Yeah, well, if anything, I think it's like so shocking how close the start is. Mm-hmm. Like the first volume, all the way up to Matthew Patel, like I was saying, is like identical. So you still get it. It's like if you just want it to be like the comic, you get a good 30 minutes that's exactly like the comic. And then you just got to accept that things have to change.
I love Jason Schwartzman.
He plays such a great schmarmy fucking asshole.
It's the only thing he does.
Yeah, he is. He's awesome.
He's he's been one of my favorites since I got turned on.
Me and Matt would always say how...
This guy's Asian.
They sure are.
I mean, I'm not sure. That might have just been makeup.
You ever hear Jason Schwartzman's band, Coconut Records?
Yeah, and also I know you did a cover one time.
Oh yeah, what was that? The West Coast. Yeah, that song is really good.
It is.
And,
That whole album I really like.
It's a song called Microphone, also really good. Because yeah, my thought more with Jason Schwartzman is I more feel like he'd be a great little brother to have. You know,
Why?
Because I just don't have sex feelings for him. I just think like he'd just be a cool kid to have around.
So, okay.
You know.
Oh, yeah,
Your definition of having a sibling is just don't have sex feelings for them.
Man,
Is this guy really singing?
Is
Do you know? Is this really his voice?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that. I think maybe they actually played the songs too.
And so Beck wrote this?
Yeah, like you can get all the Beck demos on one of the versions of the soundtrack.
Very cool.
I love all the songs in this movie.
Yeah.
I don't like this though. I didn't like the CGI dragons.
Yeah, they're a little cheeseball, but the big gorilla is pretty cool. He's definitely much cooler looking. The way it like blows them and stuff. Like just as far as like, okay, we got 10 minutes to deal with this Evil X.
Oh no! Did I do that?
Alexa, stop.
How did that happen? Did he say something that triggered it?
Oh, maybe, I don't know.
That was our interlude brought to you by Alexa.
Oh, said it. Oh, I think we got away with that one. Yeah, and I'm trying to remember how it went in the comics, because, yeah, like, it was super different at the end, where Gideon had his own thing going on, where he had his 7 X's that he had in stasis. Like, he'd kept them all in a weird little contraption that he built.
That's some
like,
serial killer shit.
yeah, he was a much worse person. Where in this, he's just kind of Jason Schwartzman, you know, just kind of being a sort of charming, but sort of a dick.
That's my shit.
Techno?
No, sort of charming, sort of a dick.
Yeah, just like Julian.
Told you, Julian is not my type. It just worked out.
How does that work then?
Well, he kind of is. I do like a scruffy, bearded, nerdy boy, but he wasn't the other kind of type I ever went for.
So this is where this movie jumped the shark, though, that the guitar band beat the turntable DJ band, because in real life, that's not what happened.
In real life.
In real life, guitar bands
real
are
life.
gone. Yeah, so that little head, that's what was on my Scott Pilgrim shirt.
I had a weird when I had a PS3, I think it was. Yeah, PS3. There was a side-scrolling fighter game based, sort of like Double Dragon style, for Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, that's weird too, where like that's the weird world we're in now. Speaking of like digital stuff and physical releases, so there was never a physical release of that Scott Pilgrim game. It was just digital, and something went wrong with the rights, and Ubisoft pulled it, and now you can't get that game anymore.
Really?
Yeah, it's just gone.
But if you had already downloaded it,
Yeah, then it's still there. Yeah.
could you re-download it
No, I don't think so.
based off of your purchases?
I don't think so. I think if you had it, they can't take it away, but
Well, the reason I ask is because I had this game that Guillermo del Toro was involved with. It was going to be like a Silent Hill type
Silent
game.
Hills, right?
P
Oh, that's the-
something.
Yeah, the
PT. Yeah.
PT. I had that, and then
Yeah, they pulled.
I
that
got rid
too.
of it. They pulled it, and then I was able to re-download it.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess maybe if it's still on their server, but I wouldn't count on it, and you definitely can't buy it anymore, which is a shame because
PS3 anyway, so it's a moot point.
But yeah, that Scott Pilgrim game was cool because again, yeah, it was specifically based on River City Ransom, which again was where all the kick, punchy, fighty money stuff mostly came from.
Yeah, that's too bad. That game was fun. I played it a lot. I finished it like several times.
Wow.
Yeah, I just mean, you know, it's like it was good enough that I had kept playing after I finished it. You know, it was a modern day like 8-bit game. Fun.
So there's this weird thing here too, where it's like, I guess Gideon mind controlled Ramona. He put a chip in her neck
Yeah.
or something.
I don't know, but I love how fast dude flipped, fucking signed that contract.
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, man, it's been a while since I read the comic, and all of this is way fuzzier, but I don't know if he was a record executive and shit in the comics. Maybe he was. But anyway, yeah, here he's signing Sex Bob-omb, and they've turned on Scott, and now he's
And
lost his
Neil,
band.
Young Neil fucking slid in there like a motherfucker, like, by the way, here I am, scribble, scribble, scribble.
Lost his band, lost his girl. What's he got left?
Even his bass. Young Neil fucking has that too.
Yeah.
Or maybe it does belong to Young Neil, who knows?
It's weird too. So this club that they're going to for the big end game, in the comics it was at Bathurst and Queen. It was this club that Gideon had opened, but all that's really there is like that weird place where you go if you're semi-homeless and semi-drug addicted. I don't know
No,
what it's
there
called.
used to be the Big Bop used to be there.
What the hell's that?
That maybe it was just before your time, but it was a huge Toronto club. It was the Big Bop and then something else. And you know where that furniture store is now, CB2?
Oh yeah, right.
That's where it was. And they've actually kept the Big Bop sign. If you go into that furniture store, they still have it. I went there for a North by Northeast one time, but then, yeah, it got torn down, and now it's that.
Yeah, now that you mention that, I think Preston Buttons mentioned that to me, because that's one thing I notice every time I move to a city. I'm always just too late. In Vancouver, it was the Red Room, it was called. Oh, you just missed the Red Room. That was the best place. And then Toronto was like, oh, you missed that place. It's gone. Your whole experience is going to suck.
I only got it, I only moved here in 2007, so I didn't get too much of it. But it was really gritty. And there were multiple floors to it. And it was really, I mean, it was that whole furniture store. It was... And I think there was even another floor to it. It was very cool.
I don't go to clubs. None of that matters. Fuck clubs.
There was a few years of my life where I went to see bands constantly in, like, cool venues around the city. I didn't really have other hobbies or friends.
I will say Toronto has been amazing for concert going because, man, before I moved here, I saw a few good concerts. But since I moved here, I've seen fucking everything.
Yeah, if you're coming to Canada, you go to Toronto. So it's the best place to live.
It was sad back in New Brunswick where it's like literally you might see one cool show a year.
I saw Marilyn Manson in Moncton, and he sucked then. And then I saw him, a decade later, and he sucked again. Like it was fucking...
Well, no, you think it was bad in New Brunswick. Nobody goes to Newfoundland because you actually have to buy a plane ticket. Basically, you could boat, but you won't if you're... That'll take 2 days out of your time.
I think before I moved to Toronto, I saw like Marilyn Manson, Slayer, and Ozzy elsewhere. And then I moved to Toronto, and I've seen fucking everything, like Guns N' Roses and Metallica and Ghost and stuff like that. If you
want to see anybody, this is where you live.
Oh, for sure.
For sure.
For sure. For sure.
Rotary phone.
In university, I was very cool and quirky because this wasn't even that long ago. It was 2003 to 2007, and I used like an old rotary phone as my phone, just so that it was cool,
You were not cool, and even the fact that you told that story is embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for you.
Actually, I was very cool. I had so many guys over to my house all the time.
Oh yeah, what'd you do with them? Touch some ding dongs or what?
Yeah, I did some of that.
Yeah, what
I didn't sleep with any of them because I was a virgin still, but they all would think they were gonna be the one.
Man, there was this one, I can't remember her name, but this one porn star, and I loved her.
I love that reminded you of that.
I loved her gimmick so much. Her gimmick was that she had never had vaginal intercourse, so she was still a virgin.
She was an anal.
Yeah, she got fucked in the ass a million times on camera, but she could still technically say, like, I'm a virgin, and there was something, like, hot about it. It's like, wow, that chick's, like...
Is it true, or was that just...
As far as I know, yeah, like, and it's just, like...
Did any guys ever try? Like, did they... And she was like,
No, I think, yeah, like, I think at that point, if you specifically say, don't put your penis in my vagina, that's like filming a rape, so yeah, nobody did that.
No, but it just seems like someone... Like, the play with it would turn someone on.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things, like, it makes no sense, but it's like weirdly hot. What's
her name?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Oh.
This was years ago. So this is another thing I love too that they did slightly different than the comic. The comic, he also had the free man, the extra life or whatever, but he just dies and comes back to life. Where I love how they do it in this, that he dies but gets to redo the shit that he just did, but do it
fun.
better.
That's better, actually. I think. I mean, I don't know how it was in the comic, but that's a fun, like, little Groundhog Day element to it.
Has he died already?
No, not yet. We just passed through the guy I was talking about. I remember now. His name is Como.
That's an even more expensive version of that fucking bass guitar.
How much is that one?
That one's about another $1,000.
But yeah, the character who knows everybody because he says two different things as they come in. He was a coroner in something I saw recently.
Oh, that guy is in so much stuff.
That's rude.
Como?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's the coroner in like a CSI show or something, maybe.
So you were saying this club was supposed to be there, but do you know where it was filmed?
No, I don't know where they really filmed it, no. But this doesn't look like a real location or anything, I'm sure.
No, this would have been probably down on Eastern Avenue somewhere, where all the studios are.
He's wearing his Scott Pilgrim shirt again. I like that he has the same shirt twice in a movie. It's like he actually goes through his clothes rotation. It's not just different clothes every time.
It's relatable.
Yeah.
On the way here, Rayanne told me that she has so many underwear that she can go 2 months without doing laundry.
Nice.
Can you believe that?
It's maybe 1 month now, but it was 2 months at some point.
That was one thing that I remember Matt said once to me that years ago, so I'm sure he forgot, but he's like, man, I wish I could just have 365 pairs of new socks and just change socks every day and throw them away. So I always think like some year for Christmas, I'm going to buy him 365 pairs of socks, except I know he's forgotten that, so I'll just seem like a psycho, but I still want to do
You
it.
just got to mention it again in November and be like, hey, remember when you said that? And then he'll be like,
Hopefully
yeah.
he'll be like, that would be nice.
Yeah, gauge his interest so you're not wasting your money.
So I love too, so he's fighting people and all turning into money. And if you look close, there's only really one shot where you can really tell, but they really are Canadian coins. There's loonies and toonies in there. Doesn't it? I mean, there's literally nothing I like about Americans, but I hate how they talk about our currency like it's called the loonie and not the dollar. Like our $1 coin is called a loonie, but it's not, oh, that'll be 23 loonies. Like that's not what our money is called,
Is
you
that what they
fucking
say?
ignorant cunts. Yeah, they
I've
do.
never heard that.
I've heard that before, yeah.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, like, you know, when people say, like, oh, the American dollar is, you know, whatever.
Yeah, it's like the
worth
dollar,
of-
the yen, and the loonie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I wish
Like,
that's what
the
it
Canadian
was.
dollar.
Because it already looks so silly. Like our money is colorful and like playful, and it's waterproof and it doesn't rip.
Our money is what? Oh, the
The
bills.
paper money, yeah.
Although when it rips, it fucking rips.
How you've ripped it?
I got a ripped one, but because it's plastic, it just tears right through. As soon as it gets a little rip,
Yeah.
it's like destroyed.
It's like pantyhose.
Exactly, dude. Oh, totally relatable experience because everyone has it.
So there's another weird line. He just called Knives Chow Kung Pao chicken. It's like, yeah.
That's not great.
But yeah, this reminds me of Ready to Chow Down. Yeah.
Oh man.
So yeah, with Knives coming in and having this fight, there was a really cool thing in the comics that it would have been so cool if they filmed it, where Knives and Ramona fight at the reference library, at the one at Bloor and Young, that huge library.
Beautiful one.
Yeah, and just like this awesome, like even just as a comic, I'm like, oh yeah, this rules. Like that would have been amazing to film that.
You mean the reference library, the place where you famously gave a talk about video games?
Oh yeah, I did.
You
Rand
did?
Rand doesn't know about my past as an orator. She's like, when have you given a speech?
Yeah, that
Like,
shocks me.
I gave a speech at the reference library.
What was the context?
Text adventure video games.
No, but like what?
I don't
were you
remember what it was
invited
called.
To speak at something?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I introduced a guy, like
Who did you introduce?
Andrew Plotkin, his name is. He's a
Oh,
video
fuck,
game.
really?
Oh yeah, the Andrew Plotkin, the guy with the biggest dick in all of adventure games.
Yeah. Does
But
he?
You introduced him, but you had you had your own like speech.
Oh, yeah, I'm not
you were
gonna
just
lie,
like an
not-
introduction.
Me and Mike are the speech kings. I don't know if you've heard, but we know how to give a speech.
Fucking Toastmasters, man.
I also could give a great speech. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
I can tell.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Let's all write a speech.
Oh yeah, let's write a speech together. You guys write your screenplay. We'll write a speech.
Yeah.
So here's Scott's reckoning, where he has to admit that he is being a dick and trying to get he's trying to get each of his balls sucked. One by an underage Chinese girl and the other by
no,
a
bro.
fat ass hipster chick.
Jesus.
So why doesn't he turn into coins when he dies?
Because he's a piece of shit, not money.
Yeah, I mean, he's just broke. Maybe that's what happens. If you don't have money, you really die. Actually, maybe, because like a lot of video games, like you lose half your money or whatever when you die. Oh yeah, so I like too. So that thing, it's cool. Like when the nonsense of this movie kind of makes sense. So the way this is similar to when he first saw Ramona, you know, when she was skating through his dreams. But she really was skating through his dreams because she knows about subspace that Canadians don't know about, but Americans do. So she
Yeah.
was taking the subspace highways to go do her Amazon deliveries. And she's like, oh yeah, I thought it was weird that there's nobody in them. Like, I guess you guys don't use those up in Canada.
Yeah.
And the subspace highway, the quickest downtown shortcut, went through Scott's head. So she's like, oh man, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you obsessed with me by literally going through your head all
Did
day.
that happen?
That's all in here. Yeah, we just were talking about cats or something. So we didn't bring it up. But yeah, so that is like, this movie isn't just total nonsense. Some of it actually kind of makes sense. But yeah, I kind of like that this romance is so shallow and so based on just infatuation, nothingness, because I also identify with that. I don't know. I just like these movies where it's supposed to be like a real deep connection. Like my favorite example is Speed. Can you imagine after Speed, like, you know, fucking Sandra Bullock and Keanu Reeves are like, yeah, we went through this thing and we didn't die and now we're romantically involved. Cut to like a year later, just like, I hate you, get out of here. Like how would they build a relationship
Or
on
even
that?
weeks later, like, you know, like a month later, you know, you see sad Keanu sitting on a bench and they're like, what's going on? He's like, oh, I had to dump my girlfriend because she was stupid.
Yeah, like we have nothing in common.
Yeah, and she's already going on a cruise with another guy.
So yeah, I love.
I won't even take the bus anymore.
So I just like that in this movie they just admit it. They're just like, this is shallow and pointless, as is all romance in movies. So let's just fuck it, you know. So yeah, here's the second time in. Okay, you're gonna see him right here. This is the guy I'm talking about, right there on the right. That guy.
Oh, the guy who was in New Girl.
Yeah, he's in all kinds of stuff, I feel like.
I like him. He's very cute.
But he's, just a prime example of a character that did not need to be in this, but they just put in everybody. I think the only people that aren't in this is Kim has a bunch of roommates that they're like, okay, that's too deep. We don't need to go that far. Oh, and Scott has a little brother, too. His name is Lawrence West because of the subway stop.
Lawrence West is like his full first name. Lawrence West
Yeah, they
Pilgrim.
don't really explain if West is his middle name or if he has a different last name. He's just like, it's my brother, Lawrence West. And just one of those things that I didn't get at all until I moved to Toronto. And I'm like, Lawrence West. What? You got me.
After this came out, so many girls I knew went as Ramona Flowers for Halloween.
Yeah.
Such a big costume that year.
She was really good in Goon, Alison Pill.
Goon. What is Goon? That sounds
You
familiar,
haven't seen
but...
Goon?
Hockey
That's
movie.
awesome.
Oh, the hockey movie. Yeah, no.
They did a sequel recently, too.
Sequel wasn't as good, but the original, man, that's awesome.
Oh, ow. Ouch. Oh no, he ripped his jacket. Apparently, this seems to be the only effect of him getting bludgeoned.
Yeah, and this is, I guess every movie's got to slightly have a little bit of...
Redeeming moment.
Yeah. But even this I love so much too that it's like another thing that the movie, a lot of things about the movie did end better than the comic. Like Nega Scott, the evil shadowy Scott, he has an actual mind battle with that guy in the comics. Where in this, they're just they just hang out and they're like, hey, let's go get brunch sometime. Cool, man. Like I love that they immediately undercut anything that's serious or any kind of redemption arc. They're just like, nah, not really. Fuck that.
Keith, I just looked it up. That guy that you said you saw him as a coroner somewhere recently.
Yeah.
I just looked it up, and it's another reunion because he was a medical examiner in Captain Marvel.
Oh, there we go.
Wow.
Another connection.
I love the pixelation for G-Man. Whatever the fuck his name is, Gideon.
It almost makes me feel like there's something wrong with the with the video. Like you downloaded it and it's fucked up.
I love too the final boot where he boots Gideon's head and he bursts into coins. Another just really good looking. Oh yeah, this is cool too. This is a nice little callback of how Scott and Knives used to play DDR together, but then Scott wasn't into it, and they didn't have their vibe anymore. But now they have their 2-player mode, at the end again, getting back in the
I
group.
didn't notice that the first time I saw this.
And it really is like, you can really see how they were setting up for the original ending where Knives was going to be Scott's girlfriend. And at the end of the day, it's kind of... I think it is better that they didn't do that, but both are kind of weirdly unsatisfying, and it's just like, whatever, an ending's an ending, it's fine, If there's any movie that doesn't need a big catharsis at the end, it's this one.
Ooh.
Be a lot funnier if Jason Schwartzman just kicked him in the dick, like whack.
I love him.
Well, speak of the devil.
Oh, I forgot about that. Right in the dick.
Asking ye shall
he just-
receive.
Wrong person, but in the dick. I'm a sucker for a good dick kicking.
Oh yeah, Daddy
Good to
loves a
know.
dick kick.
Hi, Nunu. That's great.
Yeah, and how he coughs up coins. That's also awesome. Jason Schwartzman really is awesome because, like, he's in this movie for so little, but you feel like he's been here the whole time. Like, he just does such a awesome job of being the final boss.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is shot so well.
It's nice too, just because it's like the least pandering with video game references. Like, it's full of video game references and anime references. Even Scott, like, pulling that sword out of his chest is from Revolutionary Girl Utena, which is the comic that the Sailor Moon person did after Sailor Moon. Like, it's all over the place, but it's not like some shit that just a studio put in to try to, like, you know, make a Sonic the Hedgehog movie or some shit. Like, it's all a guy who just loves this shit. Both. Like, that's fucking sweet.
That looks so cool.
The KOs from Street Fighter 3.
This is visually easily Edgar Wright's best
Coins and the
movie.
points add up. I'm satisfied.
I feel like you're really focusing on the wrong thing.
Well, this is the thing. Sometimes if you skip over an important detail, people will fixate on it.
Man, it's weird to be in the States and they have dollar bills, but they don't have a 2 either. So you end up with so many dollar bills.
you never know how much money you have.
They don't have a $2 bill?
They do, but they don't, like, they're not really in circulation.
Okay.
Yeah, like it exists, but it's like no one has it. Which is like, and they're so resistant to change when it clearly would just, it would improve your life. You're carrying around less shit. Oh yeah, look at all those monies.
Wow, there's pennies in there. We don't have those no more.
No, they've passed away.
They still have pennies in America too, those dumb fucks.
Every time I go to the States, because like coins you can just use interchangeably, basically. But yeah, I just throw them in the garbage, which I think is illegal.
Nigga, Scott.
Yeah, and I love this so much that they just undercut this battle 100%, and it's the right choice. It's like, we don't need another fight. We're good.
So in the comics, this happens after the 7th battle?
Yeah, it's like a fucking enormous, like, Scott going back through the whole history of his life, and it gets pretty deep.
It should just be him whacking off. Jerking each other off like a Dutch rudder. Like,
This is funny.
This is cute. This is a cute joke,
Misdirect.
and it's like we didn't need another battle. We saw 7 of them already.
Just be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a really nice. Like, that's his evil side. Like, that's the great thing too, is Scott is such a, like, the good Scott's not that great.
No.
So of course the bad Scott's not that bad. You know, he's just in the middle. He's just like, whatever.
And I like that it was like, it's still a reference to the comics and was kind of a little homage, but also just like a fun joke. They got
Yeah.
a fun joke out of it, and they didn't have to do a whole thing.
It must have been interesting because, like,
Ooh, Triforce. Sorry to interrupt. I saw Triforce in the back.
Nice. But yeah, just because the comics weren't done yet. Like, I'm sure they must have just had some conference calls with Brian Lee O'Malley, and they're like, so what's the basics? So he's going to fight Gideon at this club. He's going to get an extra man. And he's going to fight Scott. But then, like, they took the basic ideas, and it's all different, you know? And the movie, yeah, really did, like, pretty much every one of those things is better in the movie than it was in the comic. No disrespect to the comic, of course.
No,
it's
man.
still a sweet-ass comic, but...
never read it. Not because I'm not interested, just
Because you don't know how to read.
It was cute of Ray to put on the subtitles for us. You can't tell what they say.
what does that say?
I always think of stuff like that, like, yeah, like, who's got time if you haven't read it yet
I
to
have plenty
read?
of coloring books, by the way, motherfucker.
But stuff like that, like the Scott Pilgrim comics, I always feel like stuff like that's like the prison stuff. Like if you ever get arrested, if anyone I know gets arrested, I'll mail them the Scott Pilgrim comics and then they can read them, you know? But until then, yeah, whatever. We got busy lives. Fuck it.
Well, at least now I have a firm plan for when I get sent to jail for killing this cocksucker.
Yeah. I'll send you all the Akira comics. Well, not if you kill me, but I'll set it up. So in the event of my death, please mail Ray these comics in
Give it all
jail.
to your lawyer.
Yeah.
And your mom will be like, I don't want to send him anything.
He killed my son.
What would you send me if I went to jail?
Oh, jeez, I don't even where to start. I mean, I'd send you Scott Pilgrim and Akira. I'd send it to everybody. Send you the Preacher comics.
Yeah, Preacher. I have Preacher, though.
Yeah, I wouldn't send those to Ray.
What would you send me?
Kisses, sweet, sweet.
Oh, that's what I was hoping.
Double-ended dildo for you and your celly.
And we could that thing from that movie where they do it.
So here it is, that shot. That's at Cherry in front. And I was just walking along and I just looked to the left and I was like I just literally just froze. I'm like, what the fuck? It's that exact shot. And yet that's where it is in
Was
case
the door
anyone's
there too?
curious. No, the door's not there. And I love this too. Like, this is another example of something that the younger generation wouldn't mean anything. But the continue countdown, I mean, that's obviously like 80s and early 90s arcade shit. That doesn't happen in video games anymore.
Yeah.
But as a metaphor for our generation, I love it. It's like one more chance, one more coin.
Such a good movie.
Yeah, he gets like one more chance to make this dumb relationship that will not work. You know? But yeah, I have no hope that they're going to live happily ever after.
I hope they don't make a sequel, though.
No, of course they won't. There's
There's
nothing.
a lot of stuff that I hope that doesn't get sequels. Like, someone was talking the other day about Trick or Treat getting a sequel. I'm like, no.
What's Trick or Treat? Like an old horror movie?
Yeah, it's from about 10 years ago.
But I mean, there's no more. I mean, I could see a remake though. I bet there will be sometime, but it'll be like an HBO show or something, or Amazon, you know, like, because everything gets a remake.
Maybe Apple. Disney.
But yeah, also the fact that this, didn't make any money, that always hurts.
You just have a cat.
So overall, let's do our ratings.
Oh yeah, so we came up with a rating system where we've got weak, good, and great. But then if it's really bad, it gets a dog shit rating. But if it's really good, it gets a perfect rating.
Oh.
So you probably won't be surprised to hear I'd give
it
this a
goes-
perfect. I love this movie.
I'm gonna give it a great.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, great.
Cool.
Because I don't have as much of an emotional tie to it. I definitely do, and I love so much about it, but I do find it a little bit repetitive for me.
Yeah, no, I do think, and also because, it was weird, like, as the comics were coming out, like, all these different cities I moved to, there was always a different Scott Pilgrim, and it's like, my whole fucking 20s and start of my 30s was, like, Scott Pilgrim, really just my 20s. But yeah, without that, just taking it as a movie on its own, without all the connections, like, it's a weird movie. Like, there's a lot of strange choices that they only made because it's based on a comic book, you know?
And I think I love it so much because of the Toronto-ness. Like, that really sways it.
Yeah, it's weird because, like, as time goes on, I'm less and less enamored by Toronto. But I still love seeing it in a movie, you know? It's just, like, so cool to, like it really doesn't get its due. Like, everything is just, let's just do New York. It's so boring. I'm so sick of New York. It's, like, the most boring thing. So, yeah, to see a little Toronto in there.
And even then, like, it's kind of like Toronto was a character itself in this movie.
It's like the 21st character, really, when you think about it.
Final Fantasy II battle. I guess they use the Final Fantasy II battle.
Well, it was really the Final Fantasy IV music, but he calls it 2 because of the Super NES version. Yeah.
Movie was good. We gave it our ratings and all that crap.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We got to wrap up this fucking podcast now.
So where can we find you guys on social media and stuff like that?
Well, you know what? For me, social media, not big social media guy, but I run a cool, fun podcast network called The Sonar Network, and you can find it at thesonarnetwork.com, and all the social media is at The Sonar Network, so do that.
Mm-hmm.
Someone else runs the social media, so it's
because
competent.
Mike's social media is 2 videos from 2012 of his friend passed out drunk.
Yeah, and I will never change that.
No.
So you can, if you do want to see those videos, follow me on Instagram at Mike Monjo.
I mean, when it's already perfect.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm Rayanne Langdon. It's a name. I don't
What's your
care.
address and SIN number?
531. It really does start with that.
Oh, geez. There's an ad at the end of this. If you enjoyed Scott Pilgrim, you might also like Pitch Black and Tremors, the natural fucking things you would watch after
Yeah.
Scott Pilgrim.
Fuck that.
Thanks for having us, guys.
You're very welcome. As always, we are on Twitter and Instagram. Twitter is at Podcast Prison. Instagram is prison_wallets_pod. And you can also find us at keithcourage.com/prison and other fine podcasts as well.
And I'm Keith McNally on Twitter.
You
There
sure
go.
are full of courage.
And yeah, I guess that's it. So thanks again. I think that's what's great about this super bullshitty podcast we do, where we very slightly only talk about the movie, is it only gets 50% thumbs down. Like the other half of people are like, I actually really like how shitty and dumb this podcast is. So I think you guys did great. Thank you very much.
Great. Well, I'll be paying attention to see if the percentage of thumbs up to thumbs down increases.
Your check is in the mail.
And I'll be paying attention to see if all your listeners come over to my social media.
Yeah.
And if they come to my house, I live at 364.
Oh, well, guess what? I gotta pee. So fuck you, Gord Downey, you dead fuck.
Yeah, fuck you.
I like him.
Yeah, I actually love the tragic
You did.
bit, but it's just a funny recurring gag that it's not even a gag. 'Cause Ray's dead serious. He would dig up that man's corpse and
Kiss it.
Again.
yeah. All right.
Wow.
All right, bye, nerds.